Chapter 2000. When she met their eyes, there was an additional sense of superiority. Go back and tell Yi Liangshan to stop selling the water element elixir to refine talismans from tomorrow onwards. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Easy Bro frowned and asked coldly, "Who are you? Do you need to care what talismans our world #1 shop sells?" Heh. The middle-aged woman sneered. "Small fries like you aren't qualified to know my name. You just need to know that Lord Fuchen asked me to pass these words to Yi Liangshan." Fuchen. Easy Bro, North Sunflower Xiangwan, and Liangshan Dajun frowned. The middle-aged woman was naturally Feng Yu, who was following Chu Tianyu. Seeing their expressions change, Feng Yu's expression became even more arrogant. Lord Fuchen will obtain the Herb King's inheritance sooner or later. By then, don't think that Yi Liangshan will still have his glory today. Do you still remember the scene when you were chased out of the upper 3 districts of the Heaven Light Ruins? If you don't want to stay in the lower 3 districts and middle 3 districts, you better be obedient. Easy Bro and the others revealed an infuriated expression. Even if it is Fuchen, he can't go overboard. Go overboard? Huh? Well, Ben, I think you don't know what it means to go overboard. Feng Yu sneered. Your clan is just a second or third-rate clan in the Azure Blue world. Do you think it is easy for me, a nascent soul realm cultivator from the Purple Cloud world, to eradicate your clan? And you, she pointed at North Sunflower Xiangwan. Your brother is in the Azure Blue world's Green Flame City Guard, right? Easy Bro and North Sunflower Xiangwan's expression turned ashen. Big Sister Hua was enraged. Are you threatening us? So what if I am threatening you? Feng Yu had a mocking expression and turned to look at the 3 words Yi Liangshan. Her eyes were filled with hatred as though they were dipped in poison. Yi Liangshan publicly announced the water element elixir's recipe and sold the water element elixir to refine talismans. To the Flowing Moon sect, it was a devastating blow. Feng Yu might have judged the situation and immediately submitted to the Dingwa Marquis, Chu Xingyan. However, how could the days of living under someone else's roof and being a slave compare to the comfortable days of being an elder in the Flowing Moon sect? Therefore, Feng Yu really hated Yi Liangshan. Furthermore, the few pill formulas that Feng Yu gave to Chu Xingyan might be treasures of the Flowing Moon sect, but their value could not be compared to the water element pill. Moreover, it was not easy to concoct the water element pill, and ordinary pill refiners would not be able to concoct it. She thought that if she could cut off the source of the water element pill's talisman, then the number of people who could refine the water element pill would decrease by 90%, and her status in the Marquis's residence would naturally rise. That was why she hid it from Chu Tianyu and came to threaten the people in the #1 store in the world. The more Feng Yu thought about this, the more arrogant she became. I admit that being the Lord of 6 Stars is an incredible honor, but how can it compare to the Medicine King's legacy? Now that Lord Fuchen has snatched Yi Liangshan's #1 position, all of you are mocked by everyone and have nowhere to hide. When Lord Fuchen truly becomes the Medicine King's disciple, think about it. How many people will the Good Day Army become a laughingstock? Huh? The surrounding people were already pointing at them and discussing. Some were sympathizing, some were ridiculing, and some were rejoicing in their misfortune. The Good Day Army was filled with righteous indignation as they gritted their teeth, but couldn't say anything to refute. Feng Yu's expression was cold and stern, while her eyes were filled with resentment. I am the person that Lord Fuchen is most proud of. Offending me is the same as offending Lord Fuchen. Think about the consequences of offending the Medicine King's successor. Before Feng Yu could finish her sentence, there was suddenly a dazzling radiance that burst out from the center of the plaza. Immediately after, the entire Heaven Light ruins shook slightly. Everyone's ears echoed with Xiao Tian's mechanical and calm voice. With the intention to save the world, I shall concoct a heaven-defying pill to change fate and seize the soul of the King of Hell. The first stage of the Sacred Ancestor Medicine King's legacy, Myriad Creations, has been broken. The second stage, Mind's Eye, is now open. Everyone is welcome to challenge. Chapter 2001. The Reincarnation Plaza fell into a dead silence. After a long time, someone asked with a trembling voice, Who is the one who passed the trial of all creations? Almost as soon as that person's question vanished, the radiance that exploded on the plaza started to converge on the list of all creations. The densely packed names on the projection started to vanish and finally converged into a giant, blinding word. Yi Liang-chun, the one who passed the first trial of the sacred ancestor Herb King, all creations, is Tianguang Ruin's special class user. Yi Liang-chun. Feng Yu's arrogant and mean look was still on her face. When she saw the name Yi Liang-chun on the light screen, her face froze. As for Liang Chen's army, after the initial silence, all of them looked at each other. They could see shock, infatuation, worship, and ecstasy in each other's eyes. Immediately after, God Yi, the one who passed the Herb King's inheritance, is God Yi. Whoa, I knew it. God Yi will never disappoint our Liang Chen's army. Bastard. Who the fuck said that God Yi can't make it? Stand out now. The plaza was in an uproar and had also turned into a sea of joy for Liang Chen's army. Those who were previously insulting Yi Liangchen and flattering Fu Chun in high spirits were now all dumbfounded. Some of them lowered their heads awkwardly and silently backed out of Tianguang Ruins. Some of them wanted to make a ruckus. Did Tianguang Ruins make a mistake? But their voices were drowned out by the cheers of Liang Chen's army. Feng Yu opened her mouth and hissed, "This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible." That's right. How is this possible? Yi Liangchen could draw talismans and became a 6-star lord. His combat strength was top-notch. How was it possible for her to understand medicinal knowledge? Even Fuchen, a prodigy pill master, couldn't pass the Herb King's trial. How could she pass it? Cheating. Yi Liangchen must have used some tricks. Before Feng Yu could finish her scream, a huge crowd suddenly pushed her to the ground. Following that, countless pairs of feet stepped on her head mercilessly. Liang Chen's army was jumping and cheering. They walked back and forth and trampled Feng Yu into a pig's head. Feng Yu screamed, "Ah, who stepped on me? My face! Ah!" She wanted to leave Tianguang Ruins. However, he discovered that he couldn't concentrate at all and couldn't even retreat from the Tianguang Ruins. Feng Yu couldn't take it anymore. She suddenly released her spiritual power and flipped the person who was stepping on her over. She was a nascent soul cultivator, so her soul power was naturally much stronger than that of a golden core cultivator. However, Feng Yu just stood up. A bolt of lightning struck down, causing her body to convulse and her eyes to roll back. Little Tianji's voice came from above the reincarnation square. User, Alchemist Feng Yu, has violated the rules of the Tianguang Ruins and attacked another user. As such, she has been punished with an electric shock to her soul and is banned from entering the Tianguang Ruins for 3 months. Feng Yu spat out a mouthful of blood along with a cloud of black gas. She shouted with difficulty, "No, it's not fair. Why were these people not punished for stepping on him? If he resisted, he would be electrocuted." This soul electric shock had damaged more than half of her primordial spirit. From now on, it would be difficult for her cultivation to improve. Unfair. This was too unfair. However, before she could finish her sentence, her figure had already dissipated bit by bit until it completely disappeared. Chapter 2002. In the dreamy cloud swampland, Lil Tian snorted, "Slandering the first host, and you still want fairness? In your dreams." When Chu Tianyu heard the news that the gate of all creation was broken, he sat down on the chair, his face pale. "Crown Prince?" The subordinate beside him said worriedly. "Crown Prince, are you all right?" Chu Tianyu didn't speak for a long time. After a while, he murmured, "Is it Yi Liangchen?" The subordinate nodded with difficulty, then frowned and said, "Moreover, before the gate of all creation was broken, Lord Feng Yu went to provoke Yi Liangchen's army. In the end, she suffered a heavy blow to her soul and is still bedridden." The subordinate repeated what happened in Tianguang Ruins. Chu Tianyu's expression was indifferent. He said coldly, "Who gave her the courage to use my name to provoke Yi Liangchen's people? She only has herself to blame now that she is in such a state." Crown Prince is right. The subordinate responded, showing disdain in his eyes. Feng Yu thought that by sending a woman to the Marquis's confidant, she could flaunt her power in front of the Crown Prince. Now, she was suffering the consequences of her own actions. Chu Tianyu didn't have the mood to care about Feng Yu. He clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with fear and annoyance. Yi Liangchen! Yi Liangchen again! This girl was like his natural nemesis. From the moment she appeared in the purple cloud domain, she had completely overshadowed all of his glory. The Lord of Six Stars was hers. She used the evolution moon sex elixirs to suppress her, and she passed the first stage of the King of Medicine's inheritance. It could be said that Chu Tianyu had never won a single time against this young lady. If he only lost, he wouldn't care. But he didn't have the mysterious Sky Pearl, nor the King of Medicine's inheritance. His father would never let him go. What should he do? Crown Prince, I think you don't need to worry too much. Chu Tianyu looked at the person kneeling on the ground. What do you mean? I heard that someone asked Tianguang Ruins if Yi Liangchen passed the first stage, which meant that the King of Medicine's inheritance was already in her hands. However, Tianyuan Guanshu's reply was that the one who obtained the Medicine King token and activated it would be the true successor of the Medicine King. Chu Tianyu abruptly stood up from his seat. You mean, passing the first trial is useless? The subordinate chuckled and said meaningfully, it's not completely useless. Didn't it help us find the entrance to the second level? The tensed expression on Chu Tianyu's face relaxed slightly, his eyes once again revealing spirit. Have you found the entrance to the second stage? Eye of the mind? The smile on the subordinate's face became even wider. They've already been found. Also, young master, you absolutely cannot imagine what the second test of the King of Medicine's inheritance, Eye of the Mind, is. Chu Tianyu, not alchemies? The subordinate shook his head. It has nothing to do with alchemy. You definitely cannot imagine what the Mind's Eye is testing. On the second day after the Everything Gate was broken, the entrance to the Eye of the Mind Gate was found. However, it was different from the Everything test, which started with a group of 100 people. The time for the Eye of the Mind trial was fixed. As soon as Mayan entered the space of the King of Medicine's inheritance, she saw a huge ring-shaped wall. There were lines drawn on the wall in a disorderly manner. These lines sometimes disappeared and sometimes appeared. Each time they would show a different part. Chapter 2003. However, he could roughly tell that this was an unimaginably complex formation. That's right, the second stage of the Herb King's inheritance actually relied on formations. Muyin couldn't help but sigh. This legendary sacred ancestor Medicine King was truly a strange person who did not play by the rules. Let's not talk about how perverted and strange the conditions to trigger the inheritance were. Otherwise, no one would have been able to find it even after 800 years. If it weren't for Xiao Bao's heaven-defying luck, perhaps no one would be able to trigger it even after another 800 years. The first test of all living things was already strange enough. But more or less, fighting poison with poison had something to do with pharmacology. But what the hell was up with the second test formation? Did array formations have anything to do with alchemy? Alright, there were some connections. At the very least, all the alchemy furnaces were engraved with talisman arrays so that they could assist the alchemist in refining the pills. However, he had never heard of a person who studied alchemy learning formations as well. Unfortunately, there was only one requirement for the Mind's Eye checkpoint, and that was to use one's divine sense to link up the formation markings within a set amount of time. By activating the formation core, it would light up the formation core. Moreover, the Mind's Eye stage was different from the Everything stage. It could only be open once. The time was set to be in the morning 3 days later, and they only had 6 hours to clear the game. Within 6 hours, everyone had a chance to light up the formation core. The more formation cores they lit up, the better their results would be. Once his divine sense was depleted, or if he made a wrong judgment about the rules of the array's operation, he would immediately be sent out of the inheritance space and be judged to have failed. When 6 hours had passed, there was still not a single person who had reached the requirements of the Eye of the Heart. Then, the Medicine King's inheritance space would be closed forever. Muyin looks at the rules written in the corner of the stone wall, and the corner of her mouth twitches. Did the Medicine King really want to find a successor? Although the everything stage was difficult, at least there was the possibility of unlimited attempts. But the barrier of the Eye of the Heart was 6 hours to decide victory or defeat in one go. If it failed, wouldn't everyone's efforts be in vain? Shoshin Continent, Polar Domain, Northern Frontier. When Han Yi hears the news that the all-living things pass has been cleared, he simply can't believe his ears. No way. It was broken in just a few days? Who the hell is so perverted? One had to know that the Myriad Object Stages test was also once one of the stages that the Medicine King Hall used to select successors. Back then, how many alchemy masters in the Cultivation Continent were stuck at the All Things trial? But now, it was broken by a cultivator from the Cultivation Continent. Elder Chong stroked his beard and said with a gratified smile, Little Nine sent a message this morning saying that the Heaven Void Cauldron shook for the second time. That meant that the Everything Gate was really broken. Perhaps there really is a genius in the Cultivation Continent. Han Yi coldly snorts. So what if you've broken through the Myriad Things barrier? Weren't Mind's Eye and Nourishment the hardest? There was only one chance for that. Elder Chong, do you think an ordinary array master can pass the test of the Eye of the Mind when he or she is at the pseudo-immortal realm? Han Ye's words caused the smile on Elder Chang's face to immediately freeze, his expression turning gloomy and unsightly. Yes, that bet and the curse was meant to put Little Nine to death. Why would he give him a way out? The requirement of the Mind's Eye stage is to light up more than 90% of the array's eyes. Previously, there was only one person who had met this requirement at the pseudo-immortal realm. Chapter 2004. That is the current master of the Medicine King Hall, Han Chujio. But for so many years in the Shoshin Continent, there was only one Han Chujio. On the Shoshin Continent, is it possible for someone to reach such a perverted requirement? No, it's impossible. And once it fails, the space of the Medicine King's inheritance will be closed forever. And Little Joe's hope will also be completely destroyed. Han Yi sees Elder Chong revealing a distressed expression, and his face changes. He says with a hollow laugh, Elder Chong, I was just speaking nonsense earlier. Think about it. Isn't the condition to activate the Medicine King's inheritance even more perverted? Didn't someone reach it? Perhaps there really is hope? Elder Chong didn't speak, turning around and silently leaving. His gaze, however, can't help but look towards the horizon. Really, is there still hope? The third day hasn't arrived yet, and the Medicine King's space is already densely packed with people. But the magical thing is that the space looks so small. There are thousands of people squeezing in, but everyone doesn't feel crowded at all. Furthermore, they can see that enormous wall in front of them very clearly. My God! Luo Yu is speechless. 6th senior apprentice sister. This array has only revealed less than 1%, and I'm already dizzy. Are you sure you can light up 90% of the array's eyes? Lung Yuma also has a sigh. Let this old lady me chop down this wall, and I'll definitely do it for you. Light up this densely packed array's eyes that are even more terrifying than a spider's web. Haha, spare her. Muyan also has a bit of a headache. She isn't very proficient in the path of arrays in the first place. The only bit of knowledge she has is still from Little Martial Uncle and learning how to draw talismans. But the talisman patterns involved in talismans are usually very simple. At most there are only 1 or 2 array's eyes. And the array in front of her has more than a few hundred array's eyes. Hey, are you Liangchen? A deep male voice suddenly comes from behind. Mu Yin turns around to look, but the first person she sees isn't the person speaking. Instead, it's Fuchen who is standing not far away. Around him stand several young cultivators. There are women and men. The male cultivator who spoke just walked out from the crowd. He's wearing a gown full of runes, and there's an 8 trigrams plate on his waist. This was clearly a configuration that only formation masters would have. Seeing Mu Yin look at him, the male cultivator raised his eyebrows and revealed a look of disdain. The famous Lord of 6 Stars, the one who broke the pass of all living things in the Medicine King's legacy. So she's just an unassuming little girl. As he spoke, he took a glance at Fuchen and let out a soft laugh. I have always heard that great god Fuchin is a well-known figure among the youth generation, and that his innate talent in elixir concoction is unparalleled. From the looks of it now, it seems like the rumors are exaggerated. Chu Tianyu glanced coldly at the person who spoke and didn't reply. The people around him were all under the age of 30, and they were all famous formation masters. Some of them were found by him. There were also some who were sent by Chu Xinyan and did not know his true identity. Chu Tianyu was an all-rounder and had some achievements in the field of array formations. However, he was afraid of Yap Liangshan. Therefore, for the sake of safety, he was fully prepared this time. He would not allow any possibility of failure. The person who spoke was called Wang Bao, and he is a grade 6 formation master. He is also one of the strongest formation masters that the Dingwa Marquis residents recruited this time. Because of his strength, Wang Bao is extremely arrogant and doesn't even put great god Fuchin in his eyes. He didn't even wait for Chu Tianyu to stop him and provoked Mu Yin. Chapter 2005. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth lifted as she spoke in a leisurely manner. Fuchin, where did you find this dog? Since you were the one who found it, why didn't you tie it up properly? Wang Bao's face changes as he glares at Mu Yan. However, before he could speak, he heard Chu Tianyu say indifferently, "It's just a disobedient wild dog that likes to bark. I just raised it, and it still doesn't know how to be obedient. I've made a fool of myself in front of God Yi." Wang Bao was enraged. Fuchin, who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like this? I was personally invited by the Marquis to break the formation. Aren't you just relying on the fact that you've been with Marquis longer? At this point, he sneered. Speaking of which, if you hadn't lost to Jun Mayan in the pass of all things, why would we need to act? You can only blame yourself for being too useless. But don't worry. You can't win against Yi Liangshan. Wang Bao, will definitely make her lose. Chu Tianyu suddenly clenched his fists and frowned. He did not care about Wang Bao's provocation at all. However, he had indeed lost to Yap Liangshan. Again and again, he was completely powerless to fight back. Chu Tianyu slowly walked in front of Mu Yin and said in a deep voice, "In the next 2 rounds, I will not lose to you. Even if I die, I will not lose." Mu Yin raises her eyebrows. Really? I'll wait and see. Wang Bao shouted for a long time, but the two of them completely ignored him. This caused his expression to become even more twisted and hideous. Yap Liangshan, he sneered, I heard that you are even more versatile than Fuchin. You can fight, refine elixirs, and draw talismans. But don't tell me that you even know arrays? Wang Bao, will break your undefeatable legend today. Even if I cannot break through the mind's eye, I will make sure you will forever be defeated by me. After Wang Bao said this, he thought that Mu Yin would be angry and refute. Who knew that Mu Yin didn't even look at him and turned to Luo Yu, his 3rd senior brother. If I remember correctly, he's also an expert in formations, right? I'm not planning to come and take a look. The corner of Luo Yu's mouth twitched. 3rd senior brother said that he only knows killing formations. Even if the Medicine King was going to test array formations, it would definitely be closely related to alchemy. He has no interest in this kind of formation. Lung Yumol ridiculed. Bullshit. Listen to his nonsense. In my opinion, there are only 2 reasons why 3rd senior brother doesn't want to do anything. Either he's lazy, or things aren't abnormal enough. The 3 of them chatted among themselves, completely ignoring the existence of others. Chu Tianyu sneered and left. Wang Bao's face alternated between green and white. He was ignored again and again. However, before he could speak, Little Tion's voice rang out in the King of Medicine's inheritance space. The 2nd stage of the Medicine King's inheritance, Eye of the Heart. The time starts now. 6 hours later, if you light up 90% of the formation cores, you'll pass. Those who failed to activate the matrix or exhausted their divine sense would be directly eliminated. If no one passes after 6 hours, the Medicine King's inheritance will be permanently closed. Almost as soon as Little Tion's voice fell, the entire huge stone wall lit up with a dazzling silver light. Following that, numerous formation eyes appeared. and rune lines that were all over the place, but were not connected. Luo Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. This is far more than a few hundred formation eyes. There are at least a few thousand formation eyes. Even if it was the mountain guarding formation of those big sects, they would at most have these formation eyes, right? How could such a large formation light up 90% of the formation eyes in 6 hours? In the inheritance space, many formation masters were shocked by the large formation that appeared in front of them. Chapter 2006. Chu Tinyo's face was ashen. He was also a formation master, so he knew better than anyone else that this was an impossible task. Although their hearts were in turmoil, everyone immediately started to observe the situation of the formation. In the first hour, there were people who failed to light the formation and were expelled from the inheritance space. But this was only a tenth of the number. However, at the 4th hour, there were incessant exclamations from the crowd. I lit it wrong. Give me another chance. Oh no, my divine sense is depleted. At the end of the 4th hour, 70% of the people were expelled from the inheritance space. Mu Yin, Chu Tianyu, and Wang Bao stared at the entire formation, not letting go of a single detail, but no one tried to light it up. As for Leng Yuma and Luo Yu, they were simply here to join in the fun and protect Mu Yin. They did not have the ability to break the trial. 4 hours. There were less than 100 people left in the inheritance space. And of these 100 people, more than half of them were sweating profusely, their faces pale. It was obvious that their divine sense was about to be depleted, like an arrow at the end of its flight. The remaining people who had not started to light up the formation's core also showed an anxious expression. There were thousands of formation's cores. If they did not start now, it would be too late. Chu Tianyu looked at the hourglass, gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and slowly attached his divine sense to one of the formation's cores. Wang Bao was staring at the stone wall with a solemn expression. But all of a sudden he shouted in joy, "I found the core! Ha! I finally found the core!" He looked at Mu Yin and Chu Tianyu with a smug and mocking look, then gritted his teeth with resentment. A formation with thousands of formation's cores was indeed complicated, but he came from a family of formation masters, so it was not like he had never encountered such a formation before. The formation seemed to be ever-changing and dizzying, but as long as the formation's core was found, it could be broken in one strike. If the formation was broken, how could the formation's core not be lit up? Wang Bao closed his eyes, and his divine sense quickly wrapped around one of the formation's cores, spreading out rapidly. There was not much time left. He must break the second stage of the Medicine King's inheritance, defeat Yap Liang Chun, and make a name for himself. He must let the entire Tingguang ruins and the continent know his name. On the other side, Luo Yu and Leng Yuma looked at the hourglass, then looked at Mu Yin, who was staring at the stone wall without moving. They were a little anxious. Now, there was less than an hour left. There were only 50 or 60 people left in the inheritance space. Everyone, even Chu Tinyo's group, began to break the formation. However, only Mu Yin seemed to be immersed in the formation and did not have the slightest reaction. Luo Yu could no longer hold it in and wanted to step forward to speak. However, before he could speak, Leng Yuma pulled him back. "Don't disturb little junior sister. But there's not much time left. What if 6 senior sister has forgotten about the 6 hours?" Looking at Mu Yin's appearance, her eyes had lost focus, as if she had really lost her soul. Leng Yuma also frowned, but she still gritted her teeth. Wait a little longer. Time was slowly approaching its end. There were only about 20 people left in the inheritance space. And among these 20 people, Chu Tianyu, who had the best result, had only lit up half of the formation cores. However, he was already hesitating, and fine beads of sweat seeped out of his forehead. Not only was his divine sense insufficient, but it was also because the next formation was intricate and complicated. One wrong step and he would lose everything. He did not dare to gamble. Chapter 2007. On the other hand, Wang Bao was getting more and more excited. His face was flushed and he kept repeating, "Array core, array core. Just a little more, and I will be able to break the array core." Finally, Wang Bao took a deep breath and looked at Mu Yin and Chu Tianyu. He then looked at the other 20-odd people in the spatial zone. Suddenly, he laughed out loud and said, "All of you, turn your heads around and take a good look at how I break the formation." Chu Tianyu maintained his divine sense on the array formation, frowning as he turned to look at Wang Bao. The other array masters couldn't help but turn around too. As long as a small trace of divine sense was placed on the other party, they would be able to see the progress of the array core. Chu Tianyu soon saw it clearly, and his pupils shrank slightly. Wang Bao had only lit up half of the array cores. But the strange thing was that the array cores he lit up were distributed in a circular pattern and were slowly moving towards the center. Right now, it was a complete circle and only the array core in the center was still empty. This was the array core that Wang Bao was talking about. As long as the array core was broken, the entire array would be broken. Wang Bao saw everyone's envious eyes, and his expression became even more delighted. He looked down at Chu Tianyu with a condescending attitude and sneered, "I will prove to the Marquis who is the real valuable person. I think it is better for me to be in charge of the Herb King's inheritance. And you, Yi Liangchen." Wang Bao turned around abruptly and looked at Mu Yin. As compared to Fuchen, he wanted to defeat Yi Liangchen more. Yi Liangchen was much more famous than Fuchen. Lord of 6 stars, passive all things breaker, chief of flourishing heaven light. As long as Wang Bao could trample on her, he would be able to make a name for himself and achieve meteoric success. Wang Bao originally wanted to see how much Mu Yin had broken through the array. When he realized that she didn't even light up a single array core, he burst into laughter. "Yi Liangchen, how can someone like you be called a god? You might be better than Fuchen in terms of elixir concoction, but in terms of arrays, a trash like you isn't even fit to carry my shoes." Lung Yuma and Luo Yu were both enraged. If it wasn't for the fact that fighting was prohibited in the Heaven Light ruins, Lung Yuma would have unsheathed her saber. Damn it! A Tom, Dick, or Harry dared to clamor at their junior sister and scold her for being trash. If they were in the real world, they would have already rushed over and chopped him into pieces. Just as Lung Yuma was about to scold him back, a hand suddenly rested on her shoulder, and a clear and melodious female voice came into her ears. "Is that so? Since you're so powerful, why don't you break the formation core now and show us?" Lung Yuma and Luo Yu turned around at the same time and were overjoyed. "Little junior sister, you have finished looking at the formation." "Maya nods. I'm done." "Are you confident in breaking it?" Mu Yin thinks for a moment. "The probability is 50-50. Luo Yu said anxiously, "Sixth senior sister, why don't you hurry and light up the eye of the array?" No hurry." Mu Yin raised the corner of her mouth and looked at Wang Bao with a smile that was not a smile. "Some array master wants me to carry his shoes for him. How can I not see with my own eyes how capable he is?" Wang Bao is infuriated by Mu Yan's contemptuous gaze that doesn't even put him in her eyes. Now that the time limit is almost up, a trash that couldn't even light up a single array core, what qualifications does she have to look down on him? For a moment, new hatred and old hatred, along with the ambition of stepping on Yi Liangchen to make a name for himself, surged up. Chapter 2008. Wang Bao laughs 3 times. "All right, Yap Liangchen, I will let you watch as the king of medicine's inheritance is snatched away. At that time, don't kneel in front of me and cry." Saying that, his consciousness connects to the last eye of the formation. Almost at the moment the divine sense wrapped around the stone wall, the entire stone wall lit up and even shook a bit. Almost all the cultivators present are shocked. Such a big movement. Could it be that Wang Bao is really going to break the heart's eye? The only one who is calm and even has a mocking smile on her lips is Mayan. Her red lips slightly open, silently spitting out 2 words, "courting death." Wang Bao looks at the strange movement of the stone wall and reveals an excited expression. However, in the next moment, a ray of white light suddenly shot out from the array core that he had lit last and directly pierced through his chest. "Ah!" Wang Bao lets out a mournful scream, and his figure slowly disappears from the inheritance space. Everyone is dumbfounded by this unforeseen event. Even Lung Yuma and Luo you can't help but be curious. Junior sister, what is going on? Wang Bao was clearly full of confidence just now. Furthermore, what he said about lighting up the heart of the array first in order to break the array was very reasonable. Why is the result that Wang Bao is more miserable than all the other eliminated cultivators? Mayan chuckles and lightly says, that's because he forgot that this is the King of Medicine's inheritance test, not an array master test. Luo Yu and Lung Yuma are about to continue asking questions. Then they hear someone exclaim, oh, there's only a stick of incense left. This time, the two don't want to ask anything and anxiously urge Mayan to start. Mayan is even more calm and composed. No need to hurry. The final result is the same anyway. Hearing Mayan's words, everyone can't help but shake their heads. It seems that Yap Liangchen really intends to give up this time. This is also normal. There are thousands of array's eyes. Even if half of them are lit up, it's still too late. Moreover, it's Mayan who hasn't been lit up yet. Everyone no longer pays attention to her, but turn their heads to seize the last opportunity and continue to light up the array's eyes. However, as more than half of the array's eyes are lit up, more and more cultivators begin to be eliminated. Usually, a single step down would result in failure, and one would be expelled from the inheritance space. In the end, only Chu Tianyu, Mu Yin, Lung Yuma, and Luo Yu were left in the entire inheritance space. The cold sweat on Chu Tianyu's forehead dripped down drop by drop. The fire in his heart almost made him go crazy. Lost. He was going to lose. It was impossible to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. He took every step very carefully. More than half of the array eyes were lit up, but he did not fail. But in the end, it was too late. His divine sense was also depleted. No, I can't accept this. I want to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. I must obtain the Medicine King's inheritance. With a roar, Chu Tianyu's figure disappeared from the inheritance space. On the rebirth square, those who had failed to clear the trial were all gathered together, chattering nonstop. Damn, is the King of Medicine messing with us? Even a 9th grade formation master can't light up thousands of formation eyes in 6 hours. Hurry up and look, Great God Fuchin has also been eliminated. Doesn't this mean that everyone has been eliminated? Did the Herb King's inheritance fail, just like that? No, this isn't right. There is still Great God Yi. Great God Yi is still inside. Could it be that the one who passed the second round of the Herb King's inheritance is Great God Yi again? Chapter 2009. Hearing this person's words, a cultivator who had just come out of the inheritance space not long ago sneered. What Great God Yi? I see ye devouring. Liang Chun is a complete idiot in the field of arrays. That's right. When we left, it wasn't even 30 minutes, and she didn't even light up a single array core. Yes, I saw it too. I feel that she has completely given up. In my opinion, Great God Fuchin is still better in the field of arrays. He has lit up the most array cores, but it is a pity that he didn't reach 90%. But Great God Yi is already incredible enough. Even without the Herb King's inheritance or knowing arrays, her reputation isn't tarnished. Isn't the funniest one called Wang Bao? Arrogant and looked down on Great God Yi. He swore that he would obtain the Herb King's inheritance, but in the end, he was taught a lesson by the Heart's Eye Array. Wang Bao staggered as he walked to the plaza. At this moment, his soul was in extreme pain, and his heart was filled with resentment and indignation. He felt that every step he took was correct, and his strategy of breaking the formation by destroying the core of the formation was perfect. But why? Why was he attacked? And he was the only one that was attacked. Wang Bao was unwilling and felt that the Heart's Eye Array was unfair. When he heard Liang Chun Dajuan's mockery, he was instantly infuriated. So, what if I was attacked? I am still better than a trash that can't even light up a single array core. Liang Chun Dajuan could tolerate people saying that Great God Yi wasn't proficient in arrays. But how could he tolerate people slandering Great God Yi? Who are you calling trash? Wang Bao sneered and said loudly, what a joke. Of course I am talking about Yi Liangchen. Everyone that entered the Herb King's inheritance space lit up a few array cores. Only Yi Liang Chin couldn't even light up a single array core. If he isn't trash, then what is he? A cute young lady gritted her teeth and mocked. Before the passive myriad was broken, I also heard people slandering great God Yi. In the end, she became the only one to break the passive myriad. Don't get slapped in the face later if you speak without thinking. Ha! Ha ha ha! Wang Bao laughed out loud. Are you saying that Yap Liangshan might be able to pass the second test of the King of Medicine's inheritance? Mind's eye? Ha! This is the funniest joke I've heard today. Are Yi Liangshan's supporters idiots? The cute young girl's face instantly flushed red. You're going too far. The rest of Liang Chen's army also surrounded them with hostility. Wang Bao sneered. Did you say that Yap Liangshan could pass the mind's eye? All right, I'll make a bet with you. If Yap Liangshan really passes the second level of the King of Medicine's inheritance, I will eat a pile of shit in front of you. If you Liangshan can't do it, then your Liangshan army will kneel down and bark like a dog. You will also have to lick my feet. How about it? Do you dare? The cute girl was so angry that her eyes turned red. She glared at Wang Bao. The rest of Liang Chen's army tried to persuade her. After all, everyone knew that it was impossible for anyone to pass the second stage of the Medicine King's inheritance. Wang Bao became even more pleased with himself. Dogs really follow their masters. Yi Liangshan is useless, and his dogs are all cowards. All right, I'll bet with you. The cute girl roared out, her hands clenched into fists. I alone, on behalf of Liang Chen's army, will bet with you. Chapter 2010. Zhu Xiang, don't be rash. Yeah, you've heard what everyone said. This checkpoint isn't something that anyone can pass. Even a 9th grade formation can't do it, let alone someone like God Yi, who doesn't know much about formations. The girl called Zhu Xiang gritted her teeth, glaring at Wang Bao with bloodshot eyes, not taking a step back. Wang Bao felt all the anger in his heart dissipate, and he felt an indescribable sense of satisfaction. He looked at the hourglass he carried with him and said slowly, there's only a moment left before the 6 hours are up. The results will be shared soon. I'll be waiting for you, Liang Chen's army, to kneel on the ground and lick my... Bang! A huge shockwave spread out from the center of the Reincarnation Plaza. Following that, a blinding white light shot into the sky. All the faces of the people in the square were illuminated by the white light. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air, stammering, Fuck. Why does the scene look so familiar? No way. It can't be real. Just as everyone was mumbling to themselves, little Tian's mechanical and calm voice entered everyone's ears, shaking their souls. With the heart to save the world, refine a pill that can change fate, and seize the soul of the King of Hell. The second stage of the Saint Herb King's inheritance, Eye of the Heart, has been cleared 100%. The third stage, which is also the final stage of the Saint Herb King's inheritance, Nourishment, has officially begun. Everyone is welcome to challenge. Gulp! Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva, wanting to ask who it was that had broken through the mind's eye. However, he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue, because he felt that there was no need to ask. To be able to make the impossible possible, to be able to create miracles time and time again, to shock everyone time and time again, to the point of numbness, there was only one person. Under God Yi, there was no other king. Whoosh! Exploding rays of light rained down on the plaza like fireworks, finally converging on the glowing image of the central, forming 3 blinding words. Yi Liang Chun. Little Tian's voice rang out once more. The person who cleared the second stage, Eye of the Heart, is Tianguang Ruin's special class user, Yi Liang Chun. Zhu Xiang suddenly covered her mouth as tears flowed uncontrollably from her eyes. She did it. She really did it. I knew it. I knew, God, you wouldn't let us down. From the azure blue realm to the purple cloud realm, from reality to Tianguang Ruins, she has never disappointed us. The reincarnation square exploded once again. In other words, the entire Tianguang Ruins had exploded. Most of them were not surprised when Yap Liangshan passed the Everything Challenge for the first time. Firstly, the All Things stage could be tried an unlimited number of times, and in reality, it did not only involve medicinal theory, but also the strength of the shoujo. Yap Liangchen was so powerful, and he had been at the top for a long time. It was not surprising that he would be the first one to pass the test. But in the mind's eye stage, many array masters had come to the conclusion that it was impossible to pass. How was it possible to light up thousands of formation cores in 6 hours? How was that possible? Guru Yi, our hearts aren't strong enough. Please don't agitate us anymore. In the future, as long as Yap Liangchen participates in any ranking competition, all mortals will have to leave. Damn it. If we don't leave, are we waiting to be slapped in the face? Liangchen's army, on the other hand, looked at each other in confusion. Their faces were more dazed than ecstatic. Chapter 2011. Someone gulped and said, "Are we really supporting a person and not a god?" Zhu Xiang smiled through her tears. "In my heart, Goddess Yi is my only faith. She's the most powerful god in my heart." "Are you guys stupid?" Someone suddenly reacted and slapped his companion's back. Goddess Yi passed the second stage of Herb King's inheritance. The second stage? Everyone said that Goddess Yi couldn't do it. She did it again. Why are you guys still standing there? Everyone looked at each other. The next moment, thunderous applause and cheers erupted in Reincarnation Square again. In the end, these chaotic shouts intertwined into 3 words. Yap Liangchen, Yap Liangchen, Yap Liangchen. Not only Liangchen's army, but even the other cultivators could not help but raise their arms and cheer. Wang Bao lowered his head, shrunk his shoulders, and carefully retreated. His soul was severely injured in Herb King's inheritance space, so he could not condense his divine sense. Moreover, there were too many people in Reincarnation Square. Divine sense and mental power were mixed together, so he could not even retreat from Tianguang ruins. However, before he could retreat from the crowd, someone shouted, "This son of a bitch who slandered Goddess Yi wants to run." That voice scared Wang Bao so much that he shuddered. It also woke up the people who were immersed in the cheers and laughter. Zhu Xiang wiped the tears off her face and smiled. "What did you say just now? If Goddess Yi breaks the Heart's Eye stage, will you eat shit in front of everyone?" Wang Bao was filled with indignation at that moment. He felt that his method of breaking the formation was correct. However, why was it Yi Liangchen who broke the formation in the end? However, facing the thousands of unfriendly and mocking gazes from Liangchen's army, Wang Bao shuddered and stammered, I was just saying. Weren't you very arrogant when you slandered Goddess Yi earlier? Now you want to beg for mercy? That depends on whether Liangchen's army agrees to it or not. Eat shit. You must eat shit in front of everyone." The crowd approached Wang Bao step by step. Occasionally, it was mixed with other people's mocking and jeering. Eat shit in front of everyone. Who wouldn't want to see something so interesting? Cold sweat dripped down Wang Bao's forehead. His voice trembled as he desperately tried to gather his divine sense to leave the sky light ruins. However, he couldn't do it no matter what. He could only shout, "This is Tianguang ruins. Even if I'm willing to fulfill my promise, there's no shit for me to eat." Almost as soon as his voice fell, patter, a pile of yellow, greasy, and smelly poop fell in front of Wang Bao. Little Tian's emotionless voice came from the Reincarnation Square. Tianguang Ruins certified user, Master Leopard, wants a pile of stinky golden poop, worth 1,000 top-grade crystals. Friendship price, 500 top-grade crystals. It has been directly deducted from the Jade Key of Master Leopard. This golden smelly stool has a large amount and a strong fragrance. Once it enters the mouth, it will work on the divine soul, and it won't dissipate on the tip of the tongue for at least 7 days. Guaranteed to be worth the money. User Master Leopard, please enjoy. The moment the golden stinky poop dropped onto the ground, many people took a few steps back in fear. Several girls covered their noses in disgust. However, after hearing little Tian's words, the crowd was stunned at first. Then they burst into laughter. Golden stinky poop? Tianguang ruins, are you kidding me? Haha. Chapter 2012. I'm really convinced that Tianguang Ruins even has this thing, and it's actually selling it for 500 high-grade crystals. I say, Master Bao, weren't you just worried that Tianguang Ruins wouldn't have shit for you to eat? Great, Tianguang Ruins has specially satisfied you. Wang Bao looks at the huge pile of stinky poop in front of him. His vision darkens, and he almost faints. How could Liang Qin's army let him go? They surround him one by one. If you don't fulfill your promise and eat this poop, we'll beat you up every time we see you in Tianguang Ruins. If I can't beat you up in Tianguang Ruins, I'll beat you up in reality. Isn't it just the eastern continent of Ziyun World? Don't think that I can't find you. Wang Bao's face is pale. He opens his mouth, wanting to beg for mercy. But someone kicks him from behind, and his whole face bumps into the stinky golden poop. A pungent stench directly rushes into his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. It makes him twitch all over, and he's better off dead. At this time, there's only one thought in Wang Bao's mind. What's wrong with me to provoke this fiend? Yi Liang Chun. Boo-hoo. If I see this demoness in the future, can't I just take a deeder? Mu Yin still doesn't know that she hasn't done anything, yet she's been crowned with the title of demoness. After breaking through the mind's eye, she directly left Tianguang Ruins. At this time, she's really ecstatic. It's not because she broke through the second test of the Medicine King's inheritance. Rather, it's because the mind's eye array is really an unimaginable treasure for her. Many people are very puzzled about the test array of the Medicine King's inheritance. But the moment Mu Yin sees the mind's eye array, she knows why the Medicine King set up this kind of test in the second test. Because this array was completely prepared for the alchemy cauldron. Mu Yin has seen a similar array in the Encyclopedia of Alchemy Basics in the Tian Emochin space. But it's only an incomplete array. The mind's eye array, on the other hand, is complete and can be divided into thousands of small arrays. If Wang Bao wants to break an array for an alchemy furnace in the same way as other offensive and defensive arrays, how could he not suffer a backlash? In lighting up 90% of the arrays, eye is just a trap. This was because thousands of small arrays were fused into a large array, forming a rare alchemy furnace. Since it was an alchemy furnace, the entire array was naturally one. How could there be a difference in how many array eyes there were? Therefore, if Mu Yin wants to light up the entire Heart's Eye formation, she only has one chance. That was to use the core of the formation as the core and use his immense spiritual sense to envelop the entire formation and activate it in one go. If he succeeded, he would win. Defeat meant complete defeat. In the end, at the very last moment when Mu Yan's divine sense was exhausted, she succeeded. As soon as she returns to Tianlang Palace, Mayan immediately runs into the alchemy room. Lung Yuma and Luo Yu followed her out of the Tianguang Ruins, towards their junior apprentice sister breaking through the Heart's Eye array in just a few short breaths of time, causing all the array eyes to light up. They were all dumbfounded. As soon as they arrived at the Reincarnation Square, the crowd's cheers were like waves, almost drowning them. It was a pity that his junior sister didn't seem to have any interest in him passing the second round of the Medicine King's inheritance. He wasn't even interested in admiring his own achievements and left the Tianguang Ruins directly. Now, he's hurriedly running into the alchemy room. What's he up to? In Tianlang Palace, even Yun Ruhan and the others were alarmed, rushing over one after another. Chapter 2013. After that, everyone stared dumbfoundedly at their junior sister, whose appearance could cause the downfall of a nation and possessed the beauty of a celestial being. She climbed up and down inside the huge alchemy furnace like a monkey, not stopping for even a moment. She used a knife to carve rune lines, injected crystal energy into the rune lines, and used her divine sense to guide spiritual power into the rune lines. Even Xiao Bao, the fat rabbit, little phoenix, and Bai Xie, who had taken the Ji Yuan pill and was cultivating in the boundless space, all came out. The other beasts and humans were all dumbfounded. Xiao Bao, on the other hand, obediently went over to give his mother the crystal stones and a towel to wipe her sweat with. Her delicate little face was still expressionless, but her cute appearance of taking care of Mu Yin made Lung Yuma and the others envious and jealous. After busying herself for 4 hours, Mu Yin jumped out of the alchemy furnace. Her face was covered with a lot of dust, but her eyes were sparkling. She had just carved 3 small formations of the mind's eye on the 8th grade alchemy furnace of Tianlang Palace. These 3 small formations were mainly used for energy conversion. Mu Yin wanted to convert the spiritual power of the Xiuzhen continent into immortal power. If she could do this, the immortal power that the Ji Yuan pill could supply to Xiao Bao would increase by a lot. Of course, these 3 small formations were definitely not enough. But the mind's eye had thousands of small formations, and she remembered them all. If 3 was not enough, then 6, then 9. She could always make up for the immortal power that Xiao Bao needed. Yun Ruhan looked at the alchemy furnace, then looked at Mu Yin, hesitating. Little junior sister, this 8th grade alchemy furnace is an 8th grade spiritual tool. His voice was not loud, and Mu Yin was so excited that she did not hear him at all. After confirming that there were no mistakes in the formation, she injected her spiritual power and divine sense into it in one breath, lighting up the 3 formation eyes at the same time. The next moment, bang! A loud noise came from Tianlang Palace again, shaking the whole flying dragon city. Then, thick smoke surged out from the top of Tianlang Palace. A few big and small people escaped from the alchemy furnace in a panic, each of them as black as charcoal, covered in dust. Only a pair of eyes and a mouth of teeth were shining. The teachers and students of Dragon Soar Academy, as well as the participating teams, were naturally alarmed. All of them ran over to watch the show. Ah, did he blow up the alchemy room again? Tisk TSK. What do you think is wrong with the Xiao Yao sect? If you don't know how to concoct pills, why do you insist on concocting pills? If you want to fight properly, just do your best. The dean of the Dragon Soaring Academy, Zhou Daoi, also rushed over. Using his divine sense to sense roughly, his face immediately darkened. The 8th grade alchemy furnace had exploded again. In less than a month, a 7th grade alchemy furnace and an 8th grade alchemy furnace. If converted into crystal stones, it would be several million. Even if their Dragon Soaring Academy was rich and overbearing, they could not afford to lose like this. Zhou Daoi wanted to rush out and denounce him. However, he suddenly remembered what Kong Yuanjiu had said the last time he went to consult him. The entire Tianlang Palace belongs to her. If she loves it so much that it explodes, if she loves it so much, 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 you'd better not interfere. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Zhou Daoi took a step back. In the end, who was this she that Elder Kong spoke of? But no matter what, there must be someone in the Xiao Yao team that he could not afford to offend. Zhou Daoi had always been cautious. He did not want to capsize in the gutter for an 8th grade alchemy furnace. Chapter 2014. At this time, Mayan looks at the thick smoke rising from the alchemy room, her expression completely unsightly. She actually failed? How could this be? Ha, idiot! Qi Huang's gloating voice comes to her ears. You stupid woman, do you know what level this mind's eye's array is? You dare to casually carve it on a trash alchemy furnace? Do you think an ordinary alchemy furnace can withstand the huge impact of the mind's eye's array? Mayan grits her teeth. What kind of trash alchemy furnace is this? This is an 8th grade alchemy furnace. It's more than 10 times more expensive than the 7th grade purple gold furnace she bought last time. Isn't it very expensive? Why did it become trash in Qi Huang's mouth? Qi Huang snorts coldly. Tisich, something that can't even withstand a real alchemic fire can also be considered an alchemy furnace? In the Xiuzhen continent, this thing can only be regarded as a stove at most. Do you know what kind of alchemy furnace the king of medicine left behind this mind's eye array? Forget it, a country bumpkin like you wouldn't understand even if I told you. Mine is simply going crazy with anger. At this time, Yun Ruhan comes over and coughs lightly. Little junior sister, the 7th grade alchemy furnace you blew up last time cost at least 100,000 high-grade crystal stones. This time, I think the 8th grade alchemy furnace you blew up is worth at least 2 million high-grade crystal stones. Cough. Although Dragon Soaring Academy hasn't come to collect the debt from us now, I think that after the Deer Cry banquet is over, I'm afraid that we'll have to pay the total debt together. Mayan suddenly feels her vision go dark. She didn't manage to make a high-grade alchemy furnace, and she even carried a debt for herself? Originally, she was using Laozi's #1 store in the world to support the entire Netherflame army, plus her own cultivation, and she was already stretched thin. Now she's carrying a debt of several million. Chi Huang's smile becomes more and more gloating. Haha, Jun Mayan, who told you not to give Ben Zun the crystal stones? Now you yourself have become a pauper. Mayan grinds her teeth, suddenly narrowing her eyes dangerously. Chi Xiao Huang, you already knew that when I carved the mind's eye on the 8th grade alchemy furnace, it would cause it to explode. Humph. What does Ben Zun not know? After Shiguang Gang's finished speaking, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. As expected, Muyin chuckled. Good, very good. Since that's the case, then the explosion of the cauldron will be your responsibility. I'll give you 1 month to pay off the debt of 3 million crystal stones. Otherwise, don't blame me for serving you a round of itchy meat set meal every day. Jumine, you dare? Chi Huang yells in anger. Moreover, there's clearly only 2 million. Where did the 3 million come from? Wait, why should I help you pay off your debt? Mayan ignores him and directly shields the space, letting him jump around inside. Xiao Bao hugs Mu Yan's thigh and raises his small head. His big eyes are filled with determination. Niangqin doesn't need to worry. Xiao Bao will help you earn spar. As he spoke, Xiao Bao clenched his little fists, and his face was filled with determination. Wasn't it just 2 million crystal stones? He wants to earn it back for his mother. Xiaoxin continent. To devour. Elder Chong descended from the sky and walked into a luxurious palace. The plaque in the middle of the palace impressively has the words Medicine King Hall written on it. The entire palace is magnificent and majestic, brightly lit, and there's even the sound of stringed instruments. However, there's not even a shadow of a person in the huge palace. And this kind of brilliant lights and the sound of music can only serve as a foil to the person in the depths of the palace, making him look even more solitary, lonely, and mournful. Chapter 2015. Elder Chang's heart feels sour. His footsteps, which were originally like stepping on air and shrinking the ground, also slow down as he walks step by step towards the end of the hall. There, on the chaise lounge, sits a youngster. The youngster is dressed in an old and mature black and gray robe, his long hair hanging loose. But this kind of dressing can't hide his young and tender face. At this time, the youngster is sitting cross-legged and holding his chin, looking out the window as if there's a magnificent scene there that attracts him. However, Elder Chong knows that there's only a thick black fog outside the Medicine King Hall. It's like a huge cage, firmly shackling the person inside. Little Gio, I heard Han Yi say that the mind's eye gate was broken? Your curse might really be. Elder Chang's trembling voice hasn't finished speaking. He sees the youngster fiercely pounding the table, angrily saying, I'm so angry in the end which guy broke it. He actually lit up all the eyes of the array. To be able to light up all the eyes of the array before the age of 30. Doesn't that mean he's stronger than me? Han Chujio? Damn it. I refuse to accept this. In this world, it's impossible to have a better talent for alchemy than me. Elder Chang's mouth twitches, the blue veins on his forehead violently throbbing. You're sitting here with a lonely face, not because you're sad, but because you're envious of your future disciple. Little Joe's unreliable temperament really hasn't changed for thousands of years. Elder Chong coughs lightly. In any case, the mind's eye gate was perfectly broken, and the probability of breaking the moistening thing gate has increased by 30%. Such a genius is bound to ascend and come to the Xiaoxin continent. At that time, he might help you, plus with Jun Shang's power. What do you mean by might? Han Chujio interrupts Elder Chong again, his nose crooked in anger. That's my disciple, if not me. Who would he help? And Diming Ju, you go back and tell him, If he dares not help me, I will. I will cut off the supply of elixirs to your polar domain." Elder Chong looks at the sky, speechless. Before June went to the northern frontier, he left behind the mythological beast, Ting, to monitor the entire polar domain. Han Chujio's complexion changes, stiffly saying, Di Mingju, this kid manages the polar domain well. He can be considered young and promising. Looking at his reluctant praise, Elder Chong almost laughed out loud. Don't look at how Han Chujio treats Di Mingju with her nose and eyes. In fact, in the entire polar domain, there was only one person he feared. That is the only king of the polar domain, Di Mingju. Chong Lao talked to Han Chujio for a while, telling him to practice and nourish his body. Then he left. After Elder Chong left, the entire Medicine King Hall fell into a lonely clamor once more. Han Chujio picked up the teacup in front of her and took a sip, then murmured, "Disciple, will you let me not be alone anymore? I really can't stay here for another day." Tianguang Ruins. Bei Kuei Xiangnuan's message popped up before his eyes. Muyan glanced at it and frowned slightly. "Junior sister, has no one found the entrance to the nourishing thing?" Yun Ruhan asked with concern. The entrances to the first and second stages of the Medicine King inheritance were quickly found. But the entrance to the third stage, the nourishing thing, had been searched for 3 days, yet no one in the entire Tianguang Ruins could find it. Liang Chendajuan wanted to find the third entrance to the Medicine King inheritance as soon as possible, more than anyone else. During this period of time, he almost turned the entire Tianguang Ruins upside down. Chapter 2016. However, in the end, he gained nothing. What worries Liang Chendajuan the most is not that he hasn't found the entrance to the Nourishing Object test. It's the rules of Nourishing Object. The rules of Mind's Eye are already very abnormal. 3 hours, 1 chance, 1 hammer to decide everything. If he fails, he will close the Medicine King's inheritance. But the rules of the Nourishing Object test are even more abnormal. The Nourishing Object entrance will only be open for 7 days. And only 3 people can enter the inheritance space to take the test. Once all 3 people fail the test, the Medicine King's inheritance will close. Mu Yin takes out 3 crystal clear glass beads from the Jade Key's space and gently twirls them on her fingertips. These 3 beads appeared when the variant Yuan Dan triggered the Medicine King's inheritance, passed the All Things test, and the Mind's Eye test. It probably means that she has passed several of the Medicine King's tests. But Mu Yin has a hunch that if she can't pass the last test, Nourishing Object, then no matter how many of these glass beads she has, it will be useless. So, does the Medicine King really want to find a successor? He always felt that the content of his assessment was completely forcing people to do things that were beyond their control. Mu Yin withdraws her resentful thoughts, looks at her fellow apprentices, and slowly says, "No, someone has found the first entrance to the Nourishing Object test." The past life square is once again filled with people. Everyone's eyes fall on the central platform. A virtual projection screen once again appears there, and on the screen is a vast space. In the space, a middle-aged man is holding a flower pot in his hand, looking around with a look of horror. And standing around him are 100 cultivators. These cultivators all have a variety of names above their heads, such as Guangdong No. 1 Roar, Golden Blade dominates the heavens. One look, and you can tell that they are users of Tianguang Ruins. Everyone is a little dumbfounded looking at this scene. This is the 3rd test of the Medicine King's inheritance, Nourishing Object test? But who exactly is it testing? And what is it testing? Very quickly, Little Tian answers the questions of the strange people inside and outside the inheritance space. User: Honest Lu, who wants to become Jindan. The 3rd test of the Medicine King's inheritance, Nourishing Object, is now open to you. There is only one requirement for this test, and that is to grow the spirit plant in your hand. As long as the spirit plant in your hand sprouts, blossoms, bears fruit, and finally gathers the fruit, it means that you have passed the 3rd stage of the Medicine King's inheritance. Once this stage is passed, the Medicine King token will appear. Once the Medicine King token is activated, the Medicine King inheritance will officially begin. Honest Lu, who wants to become a Jindan, was clearly the name of the middle-aged man in the Tianguang ruins. When he heard Lil Tian's words, his eyes lit up. Are you serious? As long as I grow this spirit plant, I will be able to obtain the Herb King's inheritance. I'm a Ling plant's master. I might not be good at other things, but when it comes to planting Ling plants, I can definitely do it well. Of course not, little Tian replied. Do you see the heavenly light users around you? They were all chosen by the Medicine King's inheritance space. They are all elite cultivators of the same level as you. They'll attack you while you're planting the spirit plants. Once you're killed by them, or your spirit plant dies, you'll be deemed to have failed the challenge. During the process of planting the spiritual plants, you won't have any weapons or elixirs. You can only rely on your physical body to fight and defend, and you can only rely on your own spiritual energy to replenish it. But these 100 elite cultivators are immortal and indestructible. Even if they're killed by you, their spiritual energy will be full, and they will return to the nourishing object space. Chapter 2017. As little Tian spoke, Honest Lu's face turned paler and paler. His initial confidence and joy turned into fear. Elite cultivators of the same level? That meant they were all fasting cultivators, and most of them were at their peak. And he was only at level 6 fasting. As far as the eye could see, he couldn't even defeat a single cultivator. However, little Tian had yet to finish his sentence. In addition, the 100 cultivators selected are not without benefits. If you fail a round, all cultivators will be rewarded with 1,000 popularity points, which can be exchanged for 1-to-1 high-grade crystals in Tianguang ruins. If you kill the examinee or destroy the spirit herb, apart from 1,000 popularity points, you will receive an additional spirit tempering. If you fail all 3 rounds, all assisting examinees will be rewarded with the privilege of bathing in Tianguang ruins Ning Yuan Pool. Honest Lu's eyes were filled with despair as soon as these words were spoken. On the other hand, the eyes of the 100 cultivators lit up. They were practically beaming with joy. They had been pulled into the Herb King's inheritance space out of nowhere and were at a loss. Who knew it would be a free lunch from the heavens? Let's not talk about the actual 1,000 popularity points. Spirit tempering and Ning Yuan Pool were things that were extremely beneficial to a cultivator's soul and consciousness. In the end, the outcome of the first round of the nourishment test was unimaginable. Honest Lu threw away the flower pot in his hand almost immediately, kneeling and begging for mercy, giving up on passing. The cultivators on Rebirth Square were dumbfounded when they saw the contents of the test. This time, I'm really suspicious. Does the Herb King really want to find a disciple? Does he want to pass on his skills to someone else? That's right. This kind of mission doesn't look possible. Even Guru Yi can't do it, right? If Guru Yi faced 8 or 10 cultivators of the same level, I believe she could win. 30 or 40 shouldn't be a problem. After all, she's the Lord of 6 stars. But this is 100 cultivators of the same level who will never run out of spiritual energy. If she could do it, she wouldn't be human. That's not the point. Don't forget that you have to nourish the spirit herb while fighting. You can't let it die. How can you pass such a test? The crowd was in an uproar. This time, even Liangchen Dajuan could not remain calm, because it was obvious that this was an impossible mission. Many people were cursing the Medicine King for being such a scammer. If he didn't want to give the inheritance, he could have just not opened the inheritance space. Was it fun to fool people? Mu Yin, who is also at the Reincarnation Square, can't help but frown. Junior sister, can you pass this stage? Mu Yin shook her head. I don't know. She really didn't know now. He wasn't afraid of the 100 cultivators. It was the spirit plant. Was it really possible to grow a spirit plant that had never even sprouted? And most importantly, she has no way of bringing the Tian Mo Qin into the Tianguang ruins. Without the Tian Mo Qin, there would be no flourishing and myriad plants resonating skills. Could he really grow a spiritual plant just by watering the soil and injecting his spiritual energy? Mu Yin remembers the dark cloud spirit flower that Di Mingju had her plant. A dark cloud spirit flower with low spiritual power was already so difficult to grow. Would the test given by the Yaowang be so easy? If other people were to hear her thoughts, they would probably directly vomit blood. She didn't even put the attacks of 100 cultivators of the same level in her eyes. Chapter 2018. The only worry was whether the spirit herb could be planted. After learning about the details of the nourishing item round, most of the people immediately gave up on the Herb King's inheritance. There were also people who guessed that Yi Liangqin and Fuchen wouldn't seek humiliation and would search for the entrance, because even if they found it, it would only result in failure. Rather than being seen as a failure in front of everyone, it was better to keep a low profile and save some face for themselves. However, things went beyond everyone's expectations. On the second day, the second entrance of the nourishing item was discovered. The one who discovered the entrance was none other than the special user whose reputation was only inferior to Yi Liangqin in the Tianguang ruins, Fuchen. After finding out that Fuchen insisted on challenging the nourishing item round, everyone immediately flocked to the reincarnation plaza. Fuchen looked at the Golden Core Realm cultivators that were surrounding him. Every one of them was at least at the 7th grade of the Golden Core Realm. In the Dragon Soar Academy, all the young cultivators below the age of 30 were gathered. It was naturally rare for cultivators below the age of 30 to break through to the Golden Core Realm. But in the entire Tianguang ruins, there were countless cultivators above the Golden Core Realm. Therefore, a casual grab from the Tianguang ruins would be able to find a huge bunch of them. Right now, these Golden Core Realm cultivators were looking at Fuchen with burning eyes, as though they were looking at a huge pile of popularity points, the Ning Yuan pool, and the divine spirit tempering. Kiki, God Fuchen, don't blame us for not showing mercy later. After all, everyone is doing this for their own benefits. Fuchen took a step forward and lifted his chin slightly before saying indifferently, later on, none of you shall attack me. Why? That's right. Do you think we won't dare to kill you just because you are a god? I'm used to living on the edge of a blade, and I don't care what reputation you have. Fuchen let out a faint smile, and his face was filled with confidence. Just because I can give each of you 10 times more benefits than 1,000 popularity points, the Ning Yuan pool, and the divine spirit tempering. Once the statement was out, the 100 cultivators were startled. What does God Fuchen mean? Fuchen said, the meaning is very clear. Everyone here, as long as you don't make a move on me while I am nurturing the spirit herb, once I obtain the Herb King's inheritance, I guarantee that each of you will receive more than 10,000 crystals. The 100 cultivators all took a deep cold breath, and their breathing became hurried. 10,000 crystals was not a small sum for itinerant cultivators like them. The smile on Fuchen's face grew even more haughty. You all saw the scene yesterday. Everything that happened today must have been witnessed by tens of thousands of people in the reincarnation plaza. Are you all afraid that I will go back on my word? I, Fuchen, am already able to refine grade 6 elixirs. Do I still need to rely on your 1 million crystals? Indeed, a 6th grade medicinal pill was worth tens of thousands of crystals. Fuchen was definitely able to produce 1 million crystals. The 100 cultivators gritted their teeth and finally nodded heavily. All right, deal? Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. Oh my god, so that's how it works? Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Ning Yuan Qi might be a lot to us regular cultivators, but to someone like Great God Fuchen, it isn't considered much. Even Mu Yin was dumbfounded. She couldn't help but chuckle. This Fuchen is quite interesting, ever since he fought with him for the King of Medicine's inheritance. He hadn't used any sinister tricks, but he never gave up. Chapter 2019. Right now, this seemingly dead-end, nourishing item stage actually allowed Yi Futian to come up with such an unconventional method. It was a pity that the things that Yi Futian wanted to compete with him, be it the Mystic Heaven Pearl or the Herb King's inheritance, Yi Futian would never give up. Let's see if Fuchen's unconventional method could allow him to break through the nourishing item stage and summon the Herb King token, without the interference of 100 Golden Core Realm cultivators. Chu Tianyu quickly started to nurture the spirit herb in his hands. There was nothing else in the nourishing item spatial zone, but the necessities for growing the spirit herb were all prepared. In fact, the water used to cultivate the spirit herb was the rarely seen, rootless spirit water. As Chu Tianyu used his spirit chi to nourish the spirit herb and watered it with the rootless spirit water, a tender green bud slowly grew out of the flower pot. The bud emitted a rich spirit chi and fragrance, causing the 100 cultivators in the inheritance spatial zone to involuntarily take a sniff. Chu Tianyu was also overjoyed. He was originally afraid that this spirit herb would be extremely difficult to nurture. But from the looks of it now, the hardest part of the nourishing item stage wasn't to nurture the spirit herb, but to deal with the 100 cultivators of the same cultivation realm. As Chu Tianyu meticulously nurtured it, he injected more and more spirit chi. The spirit herb in the flower pot grew bigger and bigger, so much so that 3 stamens slowly appeared at the top. Right now, only 4 hours had passed. Those 3 stamens didn't look like they were going to bud for a long time either. The green calyx slowly opened up, revealing the pink and translucent petals. There was a commotion on the plaza. Could it be that the person who passed the nourishing item stage was Godfuchin? If I remember correctly, Tianguang Su said that the nourishing item stage would be broken and the Herb King token would be revealed. Whoever activated the Herb King token would be the true Herb King's inheritor. From the looks of it, could it be that Yi Liang Chun passed 2 stages consecutively and ultimately helped Godfuchin? As soon as this statement was made, many people agreed with it. As for Liang Chen's army, they were about to explode from anger. Chu Tianyu used the method of bribing cultivators to pass the simplest, nourishing item stage and was going to take away all of God Ye's credit. How could they accept this? Hence, Liang Chen's army scolded Fuchin for being shameless, while Fuchin's supporters retorted loudly, clamoring that the Medicine King token belonged to their great god Fuchin. For a time, the reincarnation square was in chaos. At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Look!" Everyone turned around and focused their attention on the virtual projection again. However, when they saw it, they were all shocked. The 3 flowers that Chu Tianyu had nurtured had all bloomed. The petals were light pink and almost transparent. They were crystal clear and extremely beautiful. One look and one could tell that they were not ordinary items. However, the petals of the first flower that bloomed slowly turned black. Then, it began to wither at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chu Tianyu's face was filled with panic and pain, desperately injecting spirit energy into the flower pot. No, how could this be? You can't fail. You can't wither again. Absolutely not. Unfortunately, reality did not develop in the direction he had hoped for. After another quarter of an hour, the second most flowers withered. An hour later, even though Chu Tianyu had used all his strength, the last flower had withered. Soon after, the entire flower branch had withered, until Chu Tianyu's hand was left with a bare flower pot again. Chu Tianyu clenched the 2 sides of the flower pot tightly, and his eyes were scarlet red. No, I cannot fail. I did not fail. Chapter 2020. User Fuchin has failed to challenge nourishment. Everyone will be expelled from Medicine King's inheritance space. Medicine King's inheritance 3rd stage, nourishment, only has 1 chance to challenge. If you fail again, or if no one finds the entrance within 7 days, Medicine King's inheritance will be permanently closed. Tianguang Ruins. This is already the 7th day since nourishment opened. However, no one has found the location of the 3rd entrance. Although Mu Yin feels that it's a pity, she can only admit that she might not be fated with Medicine King's inheritance. On the contrary, Liang Chen's army looks even more anxious and unwilling than her. Even if there is only half a day left, they must turn Tianguang Ruins upside down. They don't believe that Lu Laoshi and Fuchin's people can find the entrance. They, Liang Chen's army, are so useless. There are thousands of people, but they can't even find the entrance for the great god they support. Mu Yin looks at them bustling about, and her heart is filled with unspeakable gratitude and guilt. Thus, she wandered around Tianguang Ruins, hoping to encounter this last opportunity. Nyang Qin, as she is worrying, Xiao Bao's crisp voice comes to her ears. Then, a small body bumps into her arms. Along with it is a colorful chicken and a strange rabbit with a pair of pink big eyes. Mu Yin looks at her son's two spirit pets, and her mouth twitches. What kind of aesthetic is this? Not a beautiful phoenix, but a coloring plate chicken. He didn't want to be a fluffy and fat rabbit, but instead wanted to be neither. It's all because of Qi Huang and Bai Xie. These two brats have led them astray. Bai Xie and Qi Huang are both tool spirits. To enter Tingguang ruins, they need the Drifting Soul Seal. But the Drifting Soul Seal is too expensive, and Mu Yin can't afford a second one. Xiao Bao solemnly vowed that he will earn it for Bai Xie. Therefore, Bai Xie can't enter Tingguang ruins right now. At most, he can attach himself to Xiao Bao's soul and come in to watch the fun. Thus, this guy is in a bad mood, so he starts to brainwash the fat rabbit. Fat rabbits have no future. Slim and slender is the way of the king. How can a mung-bean-eyed rabbit attract a female rabbit? Fat rabbit. You attract female rabbits. Your whole family attracts female rabbits. Of course, it's Pika Pika's big, shiny pupils that can become a fan of millions. Look at Little Master and the Goddess. Which one of them doesn't have big, watery eyes? In short, Little Phoenix was tricked by Qi Huang, and Fat Rabbit was tricked by Bai Xie. The image of the two pets in the Tingguang ruins was simply unsightly. Mu Yin dislikes them for being by Xiao Bao's side and making him lose face. But before she could speak, she heard Little Phoenix fluttering his colorful wings and said, "Beautiful sister, we found a fun place. Come play with us? Okay." Oh, whoa. The fat rabbit wiggled its enchanting little butt. Mu Yin felt embarrassed. She turned her head and held Xiao Bao's little hand. "Baby, did you have fun in Tingguang ruins?" Xiao Bao's little face was still expressionless, but it was no longer tense. His pair of blue eyes were sparkling. Hearing Mu Yin's question, he immediately nodded. There were many interesting things in Tingguang ruins, many of which Little Bao had never seen before. Suddenly, Xiao Bao thought of something. He summoned the Jade Key storage space and muttered a few words. Then he looks at Mu Yin with big sparkling eyes. "Nyangqin, here are the crystals." Chapter 2021. Mind stares blankly and glances at her Jade Key space. She is startled by what she sees. Xiao Bao has transferred 800,000 high-grade crystal stones to her storage space. How many days has it been since Xiao Bao said he wanted to enter Tingguang ruins to earn crystal stones to pay off her debt? He actually earned 800,000 high-grade crystal stones? Even her father's income from the world's #1 store couldn't be this fast. Okay. Mayan. Baby, where did you earn so many crystal stones? Xiao Bao shyly lowers his long eyelashes and nervously asks, "Does Nyangqin like it?" "I like it." Mayan firmly kisses his tender white cheek. "Nyangqin likes it." Xiao Bao's little face is bright red, but he can't help but smile. The chicken. "Oh no," Little Phoenix continues to cry. "Beautiful sister, there are a lot of treasures over there. No one else can find them. Only little brother can. Would you like to go with us?" Mayan looks down at Xiao Bao's eager eyes and nods. She has been wandering around for a long time without finding any clues to the entrance anyway, so she might as well accompany Xiao Bao. Perhaps an unintentional willow tree will have a harvest. Xiao Bao quickly brings Mayan to an incomparably vast place. Mayan has heard of this place before. It is called the Desolate Area, also known as the garbage dump of Tingguang ruins. It is independent of the upper, middle, and lower districts. Tingguang ruins completely simulates the living conditions of human beings in reality, so it's specially opened up a garbage dump. Every day, the things that cultivators throw away in Tingguang ruins will be transferred to the Desolate Area. Of course, unlike reality, if the garbage in the Desolate Area accumulates to a certain extent, it will be cleaned up. Many people know that it is possible to find treasures in the Desolate Area, but the Desolate Area is too big, and there is also a divine sense interference boundary. To find treasures inside is not something that a cultivator above the leaving body stage can do. But Xiao Bao unexpectedly found a treasure worth 800,000 high-grade crystal stones in the Desolate Area. Mayan glances at her son and can't help but feel jealous. This is the child of destiny. Casually picking up garbage can earn a lot of crystal stones. Mine has just tried to cover the entire desolate area with her divine sense to see if there are any treasures. In the end, she found that it is simply impossible. The barren land was too big, and there were too many disturbances. So, Xiaobao really relied on his luck to pick him up? Or maybe Fat Rabbit. If he remembered correctly, this fellow was also an expert in discovering and devouring treasures. When they first met, this guy swallowed Gong Chinchua's sacred beast egg. The corners of Mu Yan's mouth twitched when she saw the three little ones rushing into the barren area to scavenge. Because in the blink of an eye, Xiao Bao picked up another treasure. Mayan was standing so far away, but she could feel the fluctuation of spiritual power. He could easily sell it for dozens of high-grade crystals, right? Xiao Bao and the Fat Rabbit, on the other hand, looked very disgusted. Mu Yan couldn't help but smile and shake her head. She lowered her head to pick up a bracelet at her feet. This thing was also a spiritual tool, but it was a pity that it was of the third rank and was damaged. So his luck was only good enough to pick up this? Just as this thought flashed through Mu Yan's mind, in the next moment, her fingers touched the bracelet, and a bright light flashed before her eyes. On the reincarnation square, Liang Qin's army was sighing. There were also unrelated cultivators who were feeling pity, gloating, and sighing. Chapter 2022. The seventh day of the nourishing item trial was about to pass. It seemed like no one would be able to obtain the Herb King's inheritance. Right at this moment, there was a sudden flash of light. Immediately after, a familiar scene appeared on the screen in the center of the plaza. 100 armed golden core realm cultivators. There was also a fluttering white robe. She had an ordinary appearance, but no one could ignore her. After a moment of silence, the reincarnation plaza suddenly erupted with loud shouts. God Yi! It's God Yi! She finally found the entrance to the nourishing item trial. Ha ha ha! I knew it was God Yi who obtained the Herb King's inheritance. Bah! Yi Liang Chun broke through the nourishing item trial? Yesterday, God Fuchen spent so much time planting flowers and didn't succeed. While the outside was in a perilous situation, Mu Yin, who was in the inheritance space, was a little dumbfounded. What was going on? She just wanted to pick up a treasure with her son. In the end, she didn't find any treasure, but found the last entrance to the nourishing item trial. Thinking of this, Mu Yin couldn't help but smile. Xiao Bao was truly her little lucky star. In fact, the Herb King's inheritance was open mostly due to Xiao Bao's good luck. Now, she was able to find the last entrance to the Herb King's inheritance at the last moment because of Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao's eyes flashed with attachment, then turned into Yi Liangqin's army's ardent expectations. All right, even if it was for Xiao Bao and those who supported her unconditionally, she must succeed. Mu Yan's divine sense slowly penetrated into the flower pot in her hand. Right at this moment, among the 100 golden core realm cultivators, someone spoke loudly. Yi Liangqun, Chu Tianyu offered 10 times the price that Tianguang Ruins offered yesterday. How much are you going to pay today? Hee, you are the Lord of 6 Stars, the #1 talisman master in Tianguang Ruins. Your shop must be earning a lot every day, right? If you don't give us a satisfactory price today, we will not be obedient. These 100 golden core realm cultivators revealed an expectant and greedy expression. Fuchen might have failed yesterday, but he fulfilled his promise. He gave those 100 golden core realm cultivators a lot of good stuff. Today, when they found out that they were chosen by Tianguang Ruins, they were extremely excited. How could he not be excited when the opportunity to make a fortune fell on his head several times? However, after they finished shouting, they found that the girl opposite them was not moving at all. Her willowy eyebrows were slightly knitted, as if she was in a daze. Hey, Yap Liangqin, did you hear that? Don't think that we're afraid of you just because you have the support of Liangqin's army. That's right. Without any benefits, we won't listen obediently. Mayan's consciousness slowly withdrew from the flower pot, muttering in a low voice, so that's how it is. No wonder Chu Tianyu failed yesterday. In fact, when Chu Tianyu failed yesterday, she had thought of a possibility. Now that she probed with her divine sense, she was even more certain. Hearing the clamor of the 100 cultivators, Mu Yin slowly raised her head. The corners of her mouth slowly hooked up, revealing a lazy and evil smile. Are you trying to extort me? The leading cultivator at the peak of Golden Core Realm frowned and said, So what if we are? Yap Liang Chun, don't forget that you're the one who needs our help. My apologies. The smile on Mu Yin's face is getting brighter and brighter. It makes her ordinary face look even brighter. The person who can blackmail me, Yi Liangqin, hasn't been born yet. As soon as she finished speaking, she soared into the sky. Chapter 2023. Thinking until here, Mu Yin couldn't help but smile. Xiao Bao was truly her little lucky star. In fact, the reason why the Herb King's inheritance could be opened was mostly due to Xiao Bao's good luck. Right now, she was able to find the entrance to the Herb King's inheritance at the final juncture because of Xiao Bao. Xiao Bao's sparkling eyes flashed in front of her eyes, which then turned into the ardent expectation of Liang Chen's army. All right, even if it was for Xiao Bao and those who supported her unconditionally, she must succeed. Mu Yan's divine sense slowly permeated into the flower pot in her hand. Right at this moment, one of the 100 Golden Core Realm cultivators spoke loudly. Yi Liang Chun, Chu Tianyu offered 10 times the price that Tingguang Ruins offered yesterday. How much do you intend to pay today? You are the Lord of 6 Stars, the #1 talisman master in Tingguang Ruins. Your shop must be earning a lot every day, right? If the price you offer isn't satisfactory, we will not listen obediently. The 100 Golden Core Realm cultivators revealed expressions of anticipation and greed. Fuchen might have failed yesterday, but he fulfilled his promise. He gave the 100 Golden Core Realm cultivators plenty of good stuff. Today, when they found out that they were chosen by Tingguang Ruins, they were extremely excited. How could he not be excited when the opportunity to make a fortune fell on his head several times? However, after they finished shouting, they noticed that the young lady in front of them didn't move at all. Her willowy brows were slightly knitted as though she was in a daze. Hey, Yi Liangchen, did you hear that? Don't think that we are afraid of you, just because you have the support of Liang Chen's army. That's right. Without any benefits, we will not listen obediently. Mu Yan's divine sense slowly withdrew from the flower pot and muttered, So that's the case. No wonder Chu Tianyu failed yesterday. In fact, when Chu Tianyu failed yesterday, she already thought of a possibility. Now that she probed with her divine sense, she was even more certain. Hearing the clamor of the 100 cultivators, Mu Yin slowly lifted her head and the corner of her mouth curled up, revealing a lazy and evil smile. Are you trying to extort me? The peak stage Golden Core Realm cultivator frowned. So what if we are? Yi Liang Chun, don't forget that you are the one who needs our help. My apologies. The smile on the corner of Mayan's mouth is getting brighter and brighter. It makes her ordinary face look even brighter. The person who can blackmail me, Yi Liangqin, hasn't been born yet. As soon as she finished speaking, she soared into the sky. At the same time, an invisible long sword condensed in her hand. Wherever the sword light went, the 100 Golden Core cultivators were all enveloped. They're just 100 pieces of trash. Instead of giving you any benefits, I might as well kill them all in one go. This is sword chi materialization? Isn't this something only leaving aperture realm experts are capable of? How could Yi Liangqin, a Jindan cultivator, do that? The cultivators on the reincarnation square were driven crazy by Yap Liangqin. Shock after shock, legend after legend. Many people were even numb to it, not feeling surprised at all. Calm down, calm down. What's there to be surprised about? You're ignorant, are you? To great God Yi Qingyu, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Otherwise, do you think anyone can become the Lord of 6 Stars? The Golden Core cultivators and nascent soul cultivators were on the verge of tears. Sword chi materialization at the Jindan stage. This is not normal at all. Chapter 2024. If this was a normal operation, they would all be rookies. Isn't the point that God Yi didn't choose to bribe 100 cultivators and chose to challenge him instead? Yeah, even if Goddess Yi is really strong, in the face of 100 cultivators of the same level, and most of them are at the peak of the gold core realm, how can she win? Little Treasure, the fat rabbit, and the others had also rushed to the reincarnation square at this time. Watching the battle on the screen, Xiao Bao clenched his fists, his eyes shining brightly as he stared ahead. Mother is so strong, so strong. There's still a long way to go before I reach my mother. If he wants to protect his mother, he must work harder. Looking at the screen of light, the demoness who killed golden core cultivators as if she was chopping melons and vegetables, the fat rabbit couldn't help but shrink his neck. How terrifying! A female devil was indeed a female devil. He must never provoke it in the future. At this time, in the inheritance space, Mu Yan's battle with 100 Aurus Core stage cultivators had already been going on for half an hour. The ground was covered with the corpses of golden core cultivators. The last standing middle-aged man stared at the young girl in front of him in disbelief, his body trembling uncontrollably. Impossible! Impossible! From the corner of his eyes, the middle-aged male cultivator glanced at the 100 people who had already been killed and felt like he was on the verge of collapsing. Each of his 100 cultivators was at least a 7th-stage golden core cultivator. How was it possible for them to be completely wiped out within an hour? Was this Yi Liangchen, the Lord of 6 Stars? Is this the invincible king that all young cultivators worship? Pucci! The sword chi pierced through his neck, and he slowly fell down. Mayan lowers her hand, and the sword in her hand disappears. She slightly gasps for breath, and fine beads of sweat appear on her forehead. She had just killed 100 cultivators of the same level as her with lightning speed. It seemed as if he could summon clouds and rain with a flip of his hand. But in reality, it was definitely not that easy. Muyan doesn't look at the fallen Jindan stage cultivator, but instead lowers her head to look at the spirit plants. During the battle, she held the flower pot in her left hand. The blood of 100 golden core cultivators splashed on it, causing the flower pot and soil to be stained with blood. Muyan quickly fetches the rootless spirit water from the side and waters it. Then, she injects mellow spiritual power into the flower pot. In the next moment, a tender green sprout emerged from the soil. It grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. This rate of growth was clearly faster than Chu Tianyos. In less than 10 minutes, the spirit plant had already grown to the height of an arm. 9 flower buds gradually appeared on the branch. The calyx that covered the petals opened slightly, allowing people to see the pink petals inside. Someone on the reincarnation square shouted, 9 flowers! Great God, he actually produced 9 flowers. Much more formidable than Fuchin. Also, why do I feel that Great Goddess Ye's flower is darker than Fuchin's? 9 flowers, what's the use of having a deep color? Won't it wither in the end? Just as everyone had guessed, after all 9 flower buds were formed, the first flower bloomed. The second, third, fourth all showed signs of blooming. However, what appeared even faster was the first flower. Black spots appeared on its translucent pink petals. This was obviously a sign of withering. People in the reincarnation square screamed. They knew that Yap Liangchun was going to fail. No one would be able to obtain the Medicine King's inheritance anymore. In the square, Liang Chen's army is going crazy, but Mayan's expression doesn't change. Chapter 2025. She looked at the first flower that was gradually withering, then at the corpses of the 100 cultivators that were slowly disappearing. She frowned slightly. Is this little bit of blood, chi, really not enough? Almost as soon as her voice fell, in the inheritance space, 100 golden core cultivators were resurrected. The expressions of these 100 people were completely different from before. Some were furious, some were gnashing their teeth, and some were terrified. However, no one dared to step forward. While the 100 people were hesitating, the first flower completely withered, and the second flower slowly bloomed. Muyan looked at the 100 people, and her lips curled into a disdainful smile. She held the flower pot in her left hand, and the sword chi in her right hand took shape again. Only then did he say casually, 100 experts? With this kind of standard, You still have the nerve to call yourself a powerhouse? Now, do you still want benefits from me? This contemptuous tone completely infuriated most of the Golden Core realm cultivators. What's there to be afraid of? She's just a silly little girl. Didn't you guys notice that the spiritual energy around her has decreased by a lot? Her face isn't looking good either. Don't forget, she just used up a lot of spiritual energy. Didn't you guys hear the rules announced by Tingguang Su? She can't use elixirs here, nor can she replenish her spiritual power. The moment these words came out, the faces of the 100 Golden Core cultivators immediately changed from fear to joy. Right? And this time, we won't attack her. We'll attack the spiritual plant. She can block 100 of our attacks on her own. I don't believe that she can protect the spiritual herb in her hands at the same time. This thought didn't just run through the minds of these 100 cultivators. Even the people in the reincarnation square are sweating for Mayan. After killing 100 people, Mayan's breathing was uneven, and her pale face was still in front of him. Almighty Yu was naturally powerful and could easily kill 100 cultivators of the same level. But no matter how strong they were, without spiritual power to replenish their strength, how long could they last? This time, God Yu would definitely fail, right? However, the truth once again exceeded everyone's expectations. When Mu Yin has turned the 100th Jindan stage cultivator into a corpse for the second time, his blood flows like a river on the ground. Inside and outside the inheritance space, it was dead silent. The people in the reincarnation square were dumbfounded. Another round of slaughter. Another round of killing. Was he even human? Invincible among his peers. In the crowd, someone suddenly screamed. In the past, someone said that so-and-so was invincible among his peers, but I absolutely didn't believe it. But at this moment, I don't have the slightest doubt that God Yi is absolutely invincible among his peers. It's not just invincible. Even if you let a nascent soul cultivator kill 100 high-level Golden Core cultivators, they might not be able to do it. In my opinion, Great God Yi is invincible under the 3rd level of nascent soul realm. Reincarnation Square was in an uproar. Everyone was amazed at how terrifying, powerful, and invincible Yap Liangchen was. But very quickly, someone from Liangchen's army cried out in surprise. God Ye's injuries are so severe. With these words, everyone's attention was once again focused on the light screen. With this look, many of the Liangchen army felt their hearts clench. There was a large group of Jindan stage cultivators surrounding them, and Mu Yin wasn't facing them, so they didn't notice. In the inheritance space, the girl stood alone in a pool of blood. His light-colored clothes had long since been dyed red with blood. Even her blood flowed down her arm and into the flower pot she was holding. Chapter 2026. Because there's too much blood, it's overflowing. On her hanging left arm, there's a hideous wound. The flesh is turned over, and the dense bones underneath can be seen. Xiao Bao, who's watching from a distance, suddenly clenches his small hands, his blue eyes filled with unwillingness, worry, and fear. He wants to rush over to help his mother, but he knows that he can't. In the Liangchen army, there are quite a few girls whose eyes are already red, covering their mouths. Tears fall down in a pitter-patter. Not only because the person they're supporting has suffered such a serious injury, suffering unbearable pain for ordinary people. It's also because she's clearly worked so hard, but the spirit plants in her hands, but they still withered one after another. In the second round of battle against 100 cultivators, Mayan spent an hour. It's twice as long as the first time. In this hour, there are only 3 flowers left from the 9 in her hands. And the 7th flower that's blossoming also has faint black spots on its petals. This means that the 7th flower is also about to wither. How could this be? Zhu Xiang cries very sadly. Great God, Yi obviously worked so hard. Why did he still fail in the end? Oh no, Devour, look. 100 cultivators are about to be resurrected again. Great God, Yi has already used up all his spiritual power. His body is full of injuries. How can he fight the 3rd round? Boo-hoo! What lousy Medicine King's inheritance, Great God Yi. Let's not take it, okay? in the square, not to mention the angry and distressed Liangshan army. Even those unrelated passers-by can't help but feel worried. Originally, they were still gloating. If they can't get the Medicine King's inheritance, it's best if no one else can get it. But at this moment, they suddenly hope that great God you can get it. That's just a girl who looks like she's just 20 years old. She's already paid so much, left with injuries all over her body, bled all over. Why can't she succeed? However, the people outside are worried, but they suddenly see the girl with a deathly pale complexion, covered in cuts and bruises, looking at the spirit plant in her hands, suddenly blooming with a brilliant smile. Spiritual energy, blood energy, evil chi, 3 energies nourish a plant. So it's really like this. TSK. Just what kind of divine being is this spirit plant to actually use such an abnormal method to raise it? If it wasn't for the fact that he had once used 10,000 plants resonating resonance and had a certain degree of sensitivity towards spirit plants, he wouldn't have been able to do so. He would never have guessed that there was actually such a delicate and strange spirit plant in the world. The point is, in this world, apart from Mu Yin, who has the Tian Mo Chin and can use the 10,000 plants resonating, is there a second person who can guess the real way to clear this level? That's impossible. Hearing Mayan's ravings, everyone in the reincarnation square stares blankly. Spiritual chi, blood chi, and evil chi. 3 chi nourishing a plant? What did that mean? Then someone suddenly shouted, "Look, isn't the 7th flower much redder than the previous 6 flowers?" As soon as these words came out, everyone immediately came to a realization. The 7th flower was no longer pink, but close to a bright red. It seemed that he was only one step away from being bright red. Sister Hua came to a sudden realization. I get it now. This spiritual plant can't just be nurtured with spiritual energy and rootless spirit water. It also needs to be nurtured with killing intent and blood energy. This is the reason why Fuchin bribed 100 cultivators but was unable to make the spirit plant bloom and bear fruit. This is also the reason why, great God, you didn't hesitate to choose to fight against 100 strong cultivators of the same level who can be resurrected. Just then, in the inheritance space, 100 gold core stage cultivators appear again. Chapter 2027. The 60 or so golden core cultivators had obviously noticed this as well. Each of them are happy, but then they reveal their ferocious faces. Ha ha ha, this bitch really can't do it anymore. She can't even take out her sword. Let's see how she's going to kill us this time. Yap Liangchun, now we'll give you another chance. The leading peak Jindan stage man says proudly, give each of us 100 times the reward of Tingguang ruins, and we'll let you go. How about it? There's no expression on Mayan's face. She doesn't care about the words of these people. She carefully observes the remaining 3 flowers for a while. Suddenly, the spirit plant planted in the flower pot is snapped in half. Everyone inside and outside the inheritance space exclaims, "What is Yap Liangchen doing?" Could it be that she knows that she has no hope of passing this stage, so she's giving up? Those 60 Jindan stage cultivators spit a few times in annoyance. A woman will always be a woman. She's exhausted her spiritual power and is afraid of us, so she's going to use this method to admit defeat. However, out of everyone's expectation, Mind's expression is unfazed. She leisurely snaps the spirit plant and directly holds it in her blood-stained palm. They thought that the spirit plant will wither and die. But who knew? The flower on top of it is still blooming. In fact, her complexion was even more beautiful than before. And there's no sound of defeat in the inheritance space. Does this mean that Yap Liangchen won't let the spirit plant die? She's not going to admit defeat. She's going to fight to the end. Mayan uses her torn clothes to tie the broken spirit plant to her hand. The fresh blood soaks the branch even more, and the 2 blooming flowers are even more beautiful. However, it can't stop more and more black spots from appearing on the petals. Yap Liangchen, did you hear what we said? If you admit defeat now and agree to compensate us 100 times, we'll spare your life. This bitch dares to ignore us like this. How can 100 times be enough? at least 1,000 times. Mayan slowly raises her head, and her gaze falls on these people. Her mouth hooks up into a sinister smile. You still want compensation? Today I, Yap Liang Chun, will leave my words here. If the 100 of you don't have enough killing intent, and if you're not strong enough, I won't be able to nurture this spirit plant. Just you wait. I'll demand compensation from you one by one in the real world. When the time comes, it won't be 10 times or 100 times, but 10 million times. The moment she said this, the 100 golden core cultivators were all dumbfounded. Damn it! This was the first time they had seen someone more unreasonable and unreasonable than them. This bitch couldn't grow any spiritual plants herself, so she wanted to seek compensation from them? Why? It had nothing to do with them. This was blatant extortion, okay? Wait a minute. Some of the golden core cultivators, whose faces were distorted with anger, suddenly reacted. You can't even materialize your sword chi, and you want to kill another 100 of us? Haha. Yap Liang Chun, have you lost your mind because of the withered flowers? No sword, no spiritual energy, and your body is covered in wounds. Let's not talk about 100 people. Even 10 people would be enough to torture you to death. You still dare to talk nonsense to us? Is this really a big joke? Mine sneers. No sword. Her blood-stained hand slowly stretches out. Who said I don't have a sword? As soon as she finished speaking, a blood-red light shines from her body. Immediately, the girl's flesh and tendons all burst open, and blood splatters everywhere. If you don't have enough killing intent and blood chi, you won't be able to nourish my spirit plants. You know the consequences. The 100 people on the other side shuddered. On the contrary, if you work hard enough to kill me, I can guarantee that I won't trouble you afterward. This was a blatant threat. If it was in the past, these old men who lived on the edge of a knife would definitely rather be killed than humiliated. But now, at the thought of being hunted down by this terrifying woman, no, this she-devil, in the future, the cultivators felt that there was nothing left to live for. In the end, these 100 people slowly raised their magic tools again. Muyin glances at the spirit plant in her hand. The 7th flower has already completely withered. The remaining 8th and 9th flowers had completely bloomed. Black spots had already appeared on the petals of the 8th flower. Time was running out. Chapter 2029. Mayan points the tip of her sword, suddenly releasing her evil chi. At this moment, someone on the opposite side suddenly asked loudly, If we help you obtain the Medicine King's inheritance, will you allow us to join Liang Chen's army? As soon as he said that, the eyes of the 100 people lit up, filled with anticipation and excitement. Liang Chen's army! Everyone knew that this was the wealthiest, most glorious, and most arrogant organization in the entire Tianguang ruins. Talismans, elixirs, vanity, he did not lack anything. It was just that Liang Chen's army was very united and cohesive, and they were very strict with those who wanted to join. Itinerant cultivators like them, who had no power or influence and whose background was not clean, would definitely not stand a chance. Originally, these ruthless cultivators, who were used to doing things their own way, did not want to join any organization. However, Yi Liangchen was just too strong. He was so strong that they were afraid and convinced. Now, they felt that it was pretty good to follow such an awesome, powerful, and omnipotent boss. The eyes of the golden core cultivators in the inheritance space lit up. Outside, Sister Hua, Godfather Ma, and the others almost cursed out loud. What the hell? How dare he threaten God Yi at this time, and even want to join Liang Chen's army? This group of bastards. Even if they really join in, I'll torture them until they wish they were dead. However, the people inside and outside the inheritance space did not receive Mu Yan's reply. A blood-colored figure had already soared into the sky, directly disappearing into the crowd. You've been chattering away for half a day, but you don't even dare to fight. You want to join Liang Chen's army with your pathetic looks? If you want to join Liang Chen's army, you'll have to kill me first. Drip, drip. Fresh blood drips from Mayan's bony hand, winding into a river of blood on the ground. There was a fist-sized hole in her abdomen. His left shoulder was almost sliced off. There was not a single piece of flesh on his body that was unscathed, other than dripping onto the ground. The blood also flowed onto the stalk and leaf of the spiritual plant tied to her left hand. At this moment, the dark green stems and leaves were faintly red, and on the branch, there was a bright red flower that seemed like it could drip blood, blooming brilliantly. This was the only one of the 9 flowers left. It was also the only one that was not contaminated by the black spots. However, a flower was still a flower, not a fruit. Mu Yin shook her head, and everything in front of her began to turn into a shadow. Her body was ice cold, heavy, and empty, as if she couldn't control it at all. Her ears were ringing, and she couldn't hear anything. The remaining dozen or so golden core cultivators gripped their weapons tightly in their hands, but they were unable to advance or move. More than 10 people's eyes were slightly red, but it was not because of anger or fear. Instead, it was an incomparable shock. How many waves of people had this girl killed? Was it the 4th wave or the 5th? She exploded her primordial spirit and consciousness again and again. Did she really not want her life anymore? How could someone be so cruel to themselves? How could anyone be so strong? The killing intent of these slaughterers had already been obliterated. But what about her? His body was covered in cuts and bruises, but his eyes were shockingly bright. There was only an indomitable determination. He did not have the slightest intention to retreat. Mu Yin shook her head again and clenched the sword chi that was almost impossible to condense in her hand. She would not retreat. She wouldn't let go of any opportunity to become stronger. She didn't want to become the same weakling from her previous life who could be trampled upon, who couldn't even protect her own son. Chapter 2030. She wanted to be her own master. She wanted to protect the people she cared about. She wanted to be qualified to stand by Di Mingju's side. She wanted to protect her most important treasure in this world. She didn't want to let him get hurt. On the reincarnation square, many soldiers of Liangchen army were crying. At this moment, they really wanted to rush in and take the place of the person they respected. Xiao Bao's icy blue eyes were already red. His little body was trembling. If he could find the entrance to the nourishing space, he would have already rushed in. Mother suffered such a serious injury. It must be very painful. Why wasn't Xiao Bao by her side? Why couldn't he protect Mother? Tears fell from his big eyes. Suddenly, a hand pressed on the top of his head and rubbed it gently. Little junior sister's talent surpasses everyone else's, but how many people know exactly how hard she works? Xiao Bao turned around. His tearful eyes met Chu Moli's gentle gaze. Third martial uncle. Xiao Bao looked up and saw Yun Ruhan, Qin Jiu, Leng Yumao, Ling Yuxing, and Luo Yu. The disciples of the Xiao Yao sect were all here. In fact, they didn't know that Luo Yunxiao was also quietly watching the scene in the realm of inheritance in the dreamy cloud lake. Her eyes were as deep as an abyss, but there were faint waves in them. Yun Ruhan sighed softly. The sword energy in the blood slaughter sword formation left by junior martial uncle is twice as much as ours. Lung Yuma squatted down and gently wiped the tears off Xiao Bao's face. No matter what the opportunity is, as long as it can make her stronger, she won't let it go. If she can't catch it, she won't force it. But if she catches it, she won't let it go. Luo Yu smiled mischievously. Xiao Bao, you should know that your mother, my 6th senior sister, is someone who will continue to get stronger and grow. She will eventually stand at the peak. She isn't someone who needs other people's protection to survive. Xiao Bao looked at them blankly, as if he didn't understand. But the obsession in his heart, as well as the heart-wrenching pain and unwillingness, slowly disappeared. There was only one thought left in his mind. His mother was so strong. He must also become stronger. Xiao Bao wiped his tears with his sleeve and said in a muffled voice, "But Mother is in trouble now. I want to help her." The people of the Xiao Yao sect sighed. Yes, they all knew that their little junior sister had fallen into a desperate situation, but they had no choice. The only thing he could do was probably to pray that junior sister would succeed. right? Lung Yuma said casually. However, Xiao Bao seemed to have understood. His little face turned serious, and he clenched his fists tightly. He closed his eyes and said, Mother will succeed. She will definitely succeed. The people of the Xiao Yao sect were speechless, but they couldn't help but clasp their hands and whisper, Junior sister, you must succeed. They didn't know if their voices were heard by other people in the reincarnation square. Someone else started to chant, Yi Liang Chun, hold on a little longer. You will get the inheritance of the king of herbs. Slowly, the entire Liangshan army in the square started praying with tears in their eyes. The spiritual plant in God Ye's hands. No matter what you are, hurry up and bear fruit. God Yi, you must obtain the king of medicine's inheritance. From Liangchen's army to the upper, middle, and lower districts, everyone on the reincarnation square. At this moment, there was only one thought in everyone's mind. God Yi, she is worthy of the king of medicine's inheritance. So, if there are any gods or Buddhas, then please bless God Ye's success. Chapter 2031. In the inheritance space, the 100 golden core cultivators that had reappeared did not attack again. Instead, they looked at each other, and then at the girl who was no longer in human form, but was unwilling to fall down. Suddenly, someone threw the weapon in his hand to the ground. Damn it, what kind of stupid test is this? Is there anyone who tortures people like this? Didn't they say that you can grow this stupid flower with blood chi, evil chi, and spiritual power? Why is there no result yet? Are you going to fucking exhaust God Ye's life before you're satisfied? What lousy medicine king? What lousy inheritance? What was so good about it? Almighty Yi, can't we just give it up? Someone suddenly points a sword at the blood-red flower in Mayan's hand. What kind of lousy flower is this? Hurry up and finish it for me. That's right, hurry up and finish it. It's time to pass the nourishing object stage. The king of medicine's inheritance belongs to our God Yi. 100 people started cursing in a disorderly manner. In the end, they began to shout in unison, End it. If you don't end it, I'll kill you. At this time, Muyin can no longer hear the sound, nor can she see everything in front of her. A distant and mournful voice faintly sounded in her ears. It sounded like a chant or a murmur. Resurrection Lily, resurrection soul. Drink your blood, devour your soul. Condense your baleful chi, take your life. The red spider lily bloomed, and the obsession was born. The flower of the other shore withered, and the yellow springs fell. Mayan suddenly opens her eyes and looks at the bright red flower in her hand. Two clear terms appeared in his mind. Spider lily, yellow spring fruit. This spirit plant was going to grow a yellow springs fruit. As soon as this thought fell, Mu Yin felt her vision go black, and she directly fell down. God Yi, oh no. God Yi really can't hold on any longer. Great God Yi paid such a huge price. Is he really going to fail the last stage of the king of medicine's inheritance? Regardless of whether it was the inheritance space or the rebirth square, they were all in a mess. Especially when the inheritance space began to tremble, it caused everyone to feel despair. Did great God Yi fail to obtain the king of medicine's inheritance in the end? Why? Why? Guru Yi was already so outstanding, so why didn't he get King Yaowang's recognition? While everyone was filled with hatred and heartache, they didn't notice that specks of white starlight were seeping into the space from all directions. Some of the starlight was emitted by the 100 cultivators, and some of the starlight came from the 100 cultivators. The inheritance space was collapsing more and more. Just when everyone thought that the Medicine King's inheritance would be completely closed suddenly, the blood-red spirit plant swayed slightly, and its petals began to fall off one by one. That's right, it wasn't withering, but it was floating in the air after falling off. When all the petals fell, a sparkling and translucent fruit slowly condensed in the center. Everyone was stunned by this scene. He did not understand what this meant. The next moment, the entire king of medicine's inheritance space shattered, and the light screen on the plaza also disappeared. The heaven ruins shook and earth. Heaven, the heave of the heaven, of the sky otherworld. The harboring the heart of saving the world, concocting a pill that defies the heavens and changes fate, seizing the soul of the king of hell. This is the sacred ancestor Medicine King. Yath King of King, other inherit King. Inheritance of King King. Other of medicine of Saint Ansis King is King Inheritance. The one who obtained the King of Medicine's inheritance is Lil Tion didn't finish. The light of the rebirth square disappeared. Chapter 2032. It's just that this time, it's not an image, but a line of glittering, incomparably conspicuous words. Congratulations to Tianguang Ruin's special class user Yi Liangchen for becoming the only successor of the sacred ancestor Medicine King. Then, the entire Tianguang Ruins is suddenly filled with countless explosions of fireworks. The bright light blinds everyone's eyes. And in the sky above the upper, middle, and lower districts of Tianguang Ruins, as well as the Barren District, this line of big words appears. Congratulations to Tianguang Ruin's special class user Yi Liangchen for becoming the only successor of the sacred ancestor Medicine King. Little Tion's voice pauses for a moment, and then suddenly rises. The person who obtained the Medicine King's inheritance is Yi Liang Chun. Tianguang Ruins is deathly silent. Muyin drags her head that feels like it's splitting apart, looking up to see the glittering big words hanging above her head. The corner of her mouth twitches fiercely. Little Tion's taste is really getting more and more strange. First host, you're really great. Little Tion's excited voice reaches her ears. When the Medicine King's inheritance was set up, Little Tion seems to have heard that it's 100% impossible for anyone to pass, but you really obtained the inheritance. You're really worthy of being the first host. 100% impossible for anyone to pass? Muyin presses her dizzy head, puzzled. Why did Medicine King set the assessment to be 100% impossible? Is he really looking for a successor? In fact, these 3 checkpoints, everything has a certain chance to pass. When it comes to the mind's eye, it's already very abnormal. If Muyin didn't happen to see the incomplete formation, she would have died. As for nourishing things, that's the most desperate of desperate situations. Until now, Muyin still doesn't know how she finally passed this checkpoint. Little Tion says, at that time, Little Tion didn't understand a lot of things, so I didn't understand a lot of the words, and I didn't remember them. Or in other words, a part of the information has been erased. Muyin shakes her head. In any case, she has obtained the Medicine King's inheritance. That's not right. She has become the Medicine King's successor. But what about the inheritance? She didn't see anything? Little Tion, where's my Medicine King's inheritance? Is it an ancient book or a jade slip? Little Tion, none of them. First host in a while. Wait a minute. First host. Why you seem to be about to level up? What? Muyin was confused. Upgrade? What upgrade? Little Tion's mechanical voice became urgent. It's too late, first host. You have to leave Tianguang Ruins quickly. Before the upgrade is completed, you can no longer enter the Tianguang Ruins. Wait a minute. Can you explain yourself? What level should I upgrade to? In my legend of the Medicine King, before Muyin could finish her sentence, she felt her vision go dark. The scenery of the barren area disappeared. When she opened her eyes again, she was already in the sleeping quarters of Tianlang Palace. Mind sat in a daze for a good while. She suddenly woke up and tried to enter the Tianguang Ruins. However, she discovered that this time, she was actually unable to enter. Shit! So she had gone through so much hardship to pass the King of Medicine's inheritance? Not only did they not get anything, but they couldn't even enter the Tianguang Ruins? Xiuxian Continent. Boom! A loud noise resounded in the center of the polar domain, the Imperial City. Then, in the depths of the Imperial City that was shrouded in fog, something rose into the air. It let out a buzzing sound, and then slowly fell down. The people who stayed behind to guard the polar domain's Imperial City jumped in fright, looking at the horizon in astonishment. One after another, they discussed what it was. Chapter 2033. Han Yi, who's changing shifts to stay behind in the Imperial City, hears the commotion and comes out. Seeing something rise and fall, his feet stagger, and he almost falls down from the palace. Someone passed the Medicine King's inheritance? It's fine that such an abnormal Medicine King's inheritance was discovered, but there's actually someone who passed the assessment? How is this possible? Even Ing Mei, who had always been cold and indifferent, revealed a surprised expression. Others don't know the contents of the Medicine King's inheritance, but in the polar domain, Di Mingju's confidants more or less know a little. That's an assessment that he doesn't want anyone to pass. Don't look at Senior Medicine King's tough talk. In fact, so many years have passed, and he's long since given up hope. He didn't expect that someone would actually pass today. Elder Chong will definitely be very happy, right? But a certain someone, Ing Mei, looks at Han Yi with a smile that's not a smile. This time, are you going to change your name to Yin? Han Ye's expression stiffens. He was just casually saying it at the time. How could he have thought that someone would actually pass that abnormal Medicine King's inheritance assessment? However, Han Ye's expression only turns unsightly for a moment. Then he immediately smiles and looks at Ing Mei. I think the name Yihan isn't bad. Our daughter will be called Yi Xing in the future. Ing Mei's expression turns sluggish for a moment. Then he flies into a rage out of humiliation and ruthlessly kicks out. Who's going to be your daughter? Han Yi flies 2 steps back from the kick, but he smiles even more like an idiot. Then his son is fine too. The son will be called Ye Chun. Ing Mei has the heart to still get angry, but facing Han Ye's silly smile, he can't help but reveal a smile at the corners of his mouth, smiling like an idiot. As the two are messing around, they see a figure swiftly flying over from afar, but he doesn't enter the Imperial City. Instead, he flies directly in the direction of the Medicine King Hall. It's Elder Chong, Ing Mei says softly. There's hope for Senior Medicine King. The happiest must be Elder Chong. As soon as Elder Chong enters the Medicine King Hall, he rushes in shouting, Little Gio, I just saw the light of the Heaven Void Cauldron in the Polar Domain's northern frontier. It's the Medicine King's inheritance. Someone passed the Medicine King's inheritance, right? Elder Chang's voice can't stop trembling, even carrying a trace of hoarseness from excitement. 1,000 years, a whole 1,000 years. He thought that there was no hope for little Nine in this lifetime. He didn't expect that the Xiojin continent actually had such a shocking and brilliant person. However, Chong Lao hadn't finished sighing when he heard Han Chujius shouting in anger. Bastard! Bastard! I'm so mad! Ah! Which bastard is it? Give me back my disciple. Deming Ju? Is it you? Yes, it must be you, you bastard. You were afraid that my disciple would surpass you, so you purposely didn't let me come into contact with her. The moment Elder Chong saw, the entire Medicine King Hall was smashed into smithereens by Han Chujio. Those pills that could be sold at a sky-high price in the Xioshin continent were trampled on the ground like mud. As for the sacred artifact, the Heaven Void Cauldron, it was treated as a rubbish bin, and a large pile of debris was thrown into it. The corner of Elder Chang's mouth twitched. What was going on? Shouldn't he be happy that he had found a disciple? Who provoked this ancestor again? Cough, cough. Little Nine, shut up. Is the monarch someone you can casually slander? What the hell is going on? Han Chujio's eyes glared over fiercely, overbearing and threatening with killing intent. However, when Elder Chong met those eyes, he almost burst out laughing. Chapter 2034. Han Chuji's appearance right now, with apricot eyes and peach cheeks, a cute round face, and a fierce baby face. She doesn't look imposing at all. With great difficulty, Elder Chong said, the Heaven Void Cauldron temporarily broke through its shackles. That means that someone managed to imitate the Yellow Springs fruit. Isn't that a good thing? Little Nine, you finally have the chance to break the curse. By the way, who is your disciple? He was really curious as to how such a heaven-defying monster could exist in the cultivation continent. He could even grow the Yellow Springs fruit. However, when she heard his words, Han Chujio became even more furious. How would I know who my disciple is? I can't sense anyone in the inheritance space at all. Elder Chong was stunned. What do you mean? Han Chujio angrily said, my apprentice didn't wait for me in the inheritance space. Tell me, Could it be that the people of your polar domain are up to something? They're afraid that my precious apprentice will retaliate against Di Mingju in the future, so they deliberately plotted against him. The corner of Elder Chang's mouth twitched. Little Joe was so unreliable. Could he be any more unreasonable? Recently, the northern border's barrier had weakened, and the poltergeist ghosts had invaded. The Emperor didn't even have time to chase after his wife. The entire polar domain was busy, so who would have the time to plot against his disciple? Ahem. Elder Chong coughed lightly. Could it be that the person who received the inheritance isn't interested in becoming the successor of the Medicine King? When these words came out, Han Chujia's facial expression instantly became sluggish, and her eyes were full of disbelief. Elder Chong coughed softly again. Don't tell me you've never considered this possibility? Ahem. Maybe the person who inherited your heritage is a combat cultivator, and he doesn't want to be a Medicine King. No, but yes. Han Chujio shouted and fiercely interrupted Chong Lao. I am the king of medicine, the only king of medicine in this world. Why does he despise me? There is no one in this world who doesn't want to be Han Chujio's disciple. It must be the people of your polar domain. They're afraid that my precious apprentice is more powerful than Di Mingju, so they're deliberately suppressing me. Old Chong was having a headache. As soon as she saw the Heaven Void Cauldron, she ran over, wanting to hug little Nine and cry. She wanted to comfort him that she was truly an idiot who had finally been freed from all these years of pain. Little Nine's focus was on whether or not he could be normal for once. He sighed and said, How could the Emperor suppress your disciple? Forget it. Even if he doesn't want to accept the inheritance, he still has to transcend the tribulation and ascend, right? Now that a trace of your primordial spirit has been branded in her sea of consciousness, as long as she ascends to the Xioshin continent, without the space barrier, you will be able to sense her. Besides, have you ever thought of another possibility? The 3 stages of the Medicine King's inheritance are not easy to pass. Perhaps your precious disciple has passed the 3 stages, but suffered heavy injuries and is currently recuperating? You're already a few thousand years old. Can't you be more mature? Han Chujia's face immediately changed from anger to surprise. Yes, my disciple must have been injured. He must be sleeping now. If my disciple knew that he could become my sacred ancestor Medicine King's disciple, he would definitely be overjoyed. How could he possibly despise it? By the way, what gift should I prepare for my disciple? Restoration pill? Not good. It's too embarrassing. The dust-removing pill was still the best. But the inheritance space doesn't seem to be able to give out pills. Damn it, spatial barriers are so annoying. Then, I have to prepare a few sets of alchemy techniques. Chong Lao stared at the round-faced youngster with a dumbfounded expression. From a moment ago, he was furious, but now he was so excited that he couldn't sit still. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.